She fired me.
I did not fire her, Judge Judy.
A former daycare worker's revenge?
What did you tell CPS when you called?
That a table had failed on my baby and she failed to report it.
You didn't feel as if your child was endangered. You took her back there the next day.
And a pest problem.
She had bugs.
She had bugs?
Yes, ma'am.
That didn't always bug her.
I'm just being honest with you.
Why weren't you honest before you got fired?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Former employer, daycare owner Patricia Rushing, and her employee, LaToya Johnson, for unpaid wages, child endangerment, and property damage.
Order. All rise. It's case number 419 on the calendar, the matter Williams versus Rushing Johnson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Which one of you two ladies is Miss Rushing?
Me.
Miss Johnson, I would like you to sit down for a second. I'll get to your part of the case in a minute. I don't like it to be confusing. Miss Williams, Miss Rushing played a good Samaritan for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You and your daughter were homeless.
Yes.
She offered you a place.
Yes.
She offered you some money.
Yes, ma'am.
She offered you a job.
Yes, ma'am.
And when did she do all this for you?
In August, the beginning of August, or the end of August.
Well, tell me when it was, the beginning of August or the end of August?
I believe it was the end of August, ma'am.
And where did you come back from?
I was working for another company.
So how did you become homeless?
I was staying in the subsidized housing. It's called based off your income. I gave that apartment up due to safety issues, and I didn't want the state to take my daughter. So it was always shooting, gun violence down there. So me and Evelyn needed a place to stay. I asked Miss Dee, could she help me find Rushing? Miss Rushing was my boss at the time, so she volunteered $190 to my landlord. I have paperwork also.
So she was good to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're suing her for $5,000?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now you're going to tell me what you're suing her for.
I'm suing Patricia Rushing for unpaid wages.
Okay. How much unpaid wages?
She owes me $280 in unpaid wages.
Just a minute, $280.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she ever make a loan to you? Give you money?
$190. Yes, ma'am.
$190?
Yes.
Did you ever pay her back?
Yes, she took it out of my check. She have control over my check.
During what period of time?
The next month.
Okay. So she owes you $280 for what period of time?
I worked from October 11th to October 17th, 2016. I worked 35 hours. I worked 5 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
Okay. Check your records, because this is going to be an easy case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she work from the 11th of October to the 17th?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Did you pay her for that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So $280.
It's actually $268. Here's the check right here, $69, the actual check.
That's what tax took it out, Your Honor.
This is her check, the net check with the pay stub.
But that's the check that wasn't paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And it's still a valid check. I turn it over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So there are your wages. Child endangerment. Now, tell me the story about child endangerment.
Okay, I started Gates Barbecue October 15th. She asked me to get a second job again. I was only working 5 hours a day for her.
Okay, so you got a second job, and according to what I read, you were late coming into
30
her
minutes.
job.
Yes, ma'am.
And then got into an argument, and she fired you.
She fired me.
Okay. And you left.
Yes.
But you left your daughter in the daycare.
No, I took my daughter with me. The state is still paying her. It happened on a Thursday. So that Friday, I had to be back at Gates Barbecue in the morning. So since the state is still paying her, I took little Evelyn to the daycare.
So you had to be at work Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
You had no place for your daughter.
Right.
Even though this didn't end well.
Right.
So you took her back.
Yes.
To your
because it wasn't
daycare.
That, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a problem with that?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the problem?
That morning when I got to work, that night, if I can go back, I did not fire her, Judge Judy. So when I found out that day when I got to work, CPS was out there. She had filed a false claim on my daycare that night. Yes, ma'am.
You mean the day that you fired her?
I did not fire her.
Well, let's say she
that night, yes, ma'am. When she got off the phone, she called
CPS.
CPS. That morning, they false allegations.
Just a second. The night that you say, the day she fired you.
Yes, ma'am.
You said she fired you
yes,
for coming in late. Did you make a report to CPS?
No, ma'am. I made a report to CPS the day that she dropped Evelyn off at Gates Barbecue. And I made two...
Just a second.
2 calls that day. I made one in front of my boss, and I made one once I got home that night. I had to do it in front of my boss because she came up there in front of...
On what date did CPS...
The claim was made on October the 20th, the one that she filed. And that's the reason I took her daughter to.
So it was made the same day?
It was made the day that she say I fired her.
And then you brought her daughter back to where she was working?
After you told her, yes, ma'am.
The reason you brought her back was because CPS had come to your facility?
Yes, ma'am.
And told you that she had filed a claim?
They didn't tell me that she did it. She eventually admitted to it. I knew who had did it. We were so dangerous, all these lies she told. Why would you leave your daughter there?
Got it. Now I'd like to see the basis of your claim. Okay, so you brought her daughter back, and you have a video to show me the endangerment.
I have a video of my boss stating that they came...
No, I don't do that.
Okay.
No. I will see what you say was child endangerment.
Right.
You don't have that.
I don't have a video
Then
of
you
her.
don't have it, and you didn't witness it.
No, I have a witness, and then I also have my manager.
Did you understand what I said? I can't ask her questions.
Okay, and I also have a witness. She was there. She was on break of the time of the incident. She was outside.
Okay. Stand up and tell me your name.
My name is Callie Banks.
Okay, I'd like you to tell me what you saw.
I was at my job.
And this would be on the 20th?
No. Yes, the 28th.
Jump!
I'm sorry.
I'm not asking you anything.
Yes, ma'am.
This would be on the 20th?
No, ma'am, the 28th of October.
28th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on the 28th of October, you're going to tell me what you saw.
I was outside on break. 2 cars had pulled in. 2 ladies got out the car, went inside the job. The 2 ladies came back outside. There was a lady outside in pajamas like this. I see Miss Evelyn come outside her job. The lady that had the pajamas on, she grabbed the baby out the car by her arms, dangling her, telling Miss Evelyn, here, get your baby. So my supervisor came outside. She went over and put her hand underneath the baby's butt and on her baby's back because the baby has a weak spine.
How do you know that?
I've been around the baby before.
How have you been around the baby before?
I had babysitted her daughter before.
How many times?
About 2 or 3 times.
About 2 or 3 times. And your job at her job is what?
I'm a cashier.
Did she get the job there because of you?
No, ma'am.
If you babysat for her before, you babysat for her before she came to work at the restaurant?
It was after.
But she had just started that job. Mm-hmm. So you became friends afterwards. Last day of her school, of the child's school, was on what date?
October the 21st, the day after she filed the claim.
October the 21st
Yes,
is
ma'am.
when you brought her back?
Yes, ma'am.
Not the 28th?
Yes, ma'am.
You're off by about a week?
What?
It was the day after you filed the claim.
You're off by about a week. Okay, she owes you your wages. Your wages are $280. Now, that takes care of your business, and you've gotten your $280 so that you two are now square.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can stand up.
What about my counterclaim?
Just a second. You two are now square, so you can stand up, move in. Now, you have a lawsuit against her. You say that she damaged your property.
Yes, ma'am.
This young lady whose last name is?
Johnson.
And what property do you allege she damaged?
She busted out my window because
Don't tell me because.
I had called the police on Patricia
You called the police.
for unpaid wages on Patricia.
Right.
The police
On
said,
what date?
this was 10/24.
So you called the police, and you said she didn't pay me my wages. The police would have told you this is a civil matter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and?
I was on my way downtown following the police
What were you following the police for?
to go to the new headquarters that they built downtown.
For what reason?
To file a restraining order, how to take care of everything. I'd never done this before.
The police were going to tell you
They
how...
was escorting me downtown to the building.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I get to the headquarters, my phone ring. The officers asked me, could I wait to answer it? But I see it's Toya calling my phone. I say, what Toya? I'm downtown. You not downtown? Answer your door. I hear boom, boom, boom. I'm like, Toya, get away from my door. I'm not at home. She was like, open this door. Next thing I hear is my window shattered. So then I tell the police, so if I go home and something happened to me, then what's next? She tell me, well, you ain't thinking about that when we get fired and the daycare gets shut down. I said, Gates is hiring, and our slogan is, hi, may I help you? I said, well, you better learn it. And then that was it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She had bugs.
And when did you first see those bugs?
I don't know what exact month, Your Honor. But I always see roaches in there, and she tell me she gonna take care of them. I'm just being honest with you.
Why weren't you honest before you got fired?
And later today,
Now that I understand that this paraffin was supposed to go on your hands, and I assume that you weren't treated in the hospital or doctor for this burn that you're complaining about. Is that correct?
Correct.
Because now I'm going to rule in his favor because you're annoying.
real cases, real people.
Her former employer, Patricia Rushing, and her employee, LaToya Johnson, owe for wages, child endangerment, and property damage. Patricia is countersuing for a false CPS report.
Okay, so you worked with her
Yes,
on
ma'am.
Cross Your Arms. Now, you have your phone?
Yes,
Your phone log would log as to whether or not you called the plaintiff on the 24th of October. Did you call the plaintiff on the 24th of October?
No, ma'am.
Look at your phone. Does your phone have a log of that phone call coming into your phone on the 24th of
I
October?
didn't even have this phone on October 24th. This is a new phone, matter of fact. But yes, I'm pretty sure my phone records show that Toya, and I have
Just a
her
second.
phone number.
No, this is the day that you're here. We're not talking about something that happened a year ago. We're talking about something that happened a couple of months ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you knew you were coming here, she says she didn't call you. You said she calls you. It's your proof. Your proof.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Your case is dismissed as against her. You can sit down. She owes you $280. We've taken care of that. Now we have a counterclaim. So the genesis of the counterclaim really is about a vindictive call to CPS,
Right.
which caused an investigation, which caused, according to her, damage. Now, so I'm going to you, Miss Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
You worked at the daycare center.
Yes.
And you worked there years, or for a year and a half prior to that.
Right.
In what year?
I don't know what exact year I started working for her, but I know I ended working for her in 2016.
I know that you ended working for her. I'm trying to figure out how long you worked for her.
I don't know the exact date, ma'am.
Well, I don't know either. The phone call that you made to CPS was on, according to you, the 20th, right?
No, I hotlined her the day that she brought my daughter to Gates Barbecue.
Well, so that's the 21st. We all agree that it was the 21st, except your witness who said it was a week later. So that's the 21st. So now I want you to tell me, what did you tell CPS when you called?
I let CPS know that Patricia had dropped my daughter off, and I'm hotlining her now in front of my boss. Then the next time when I got home, I let CPS know that a table had failed on a baby, and she failed to report it. I couldn't report it.
Just a second. That a table fell on a baby.
Yes.
In what month?
It was the same month. It had happened that same
In
month.
October.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else? And what else?
She had bugs.
She had bugs?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of bugs?
She had bugs in the water fountain, and she had bugs when you open the refrigerator and get your lunch out of there.
Okay. And when did you first see those bugs?
Don't know what exact month, Your Honor. But I always see roaches in there, and she tell me she gonna take care of them, and then somebody come with this little weak spray.
Why weren't you honest before you got fired?
I
Listen
am
to me.
honest.
Why weren't you honest if you were so concerned about these things
I
that you
asked her, and I showed her.
Why weren't you concerned before you got fired? They're children. And
I
you
did.
were-
I let her know every day. She said she was going to take care of it. She never did. She got all this money. Every time I see her, she pulling up in something new. But she never take care of the bugs. She said that's something small. They going to come in and spray, but they didn't get rid of them. They didn't disappear.
I don't believe, this is what's called the misuse of certain powers that we give ordinary citizens to report events that they see that endanger children. And some miserable people take up the time of workers because using that as a tool of vindictiveness rather than as a real exposure of something that may in fact endanger children. You didn't feel as if your child was endangered. You took her back there the next day. After she fired you, you took her back there the next day.
My baby wasn't in the room with the roaches. The roaches is in the kitchen.
Okay. Your claim is dismissed. Judgment
Okay.
on the counterclaim for $1,500 for maliciously filing a report with CPS. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I really did care about her and her child because she was homeless.
She came here with all these...
The fact that she would do this and then come here and tell all those lies. I love Judge Judy. Judge Judy is the bomb.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pears versus Nguyen, step forward.
Adam Pears is suing nail salon owner Bao Nguyen for damaging his jeans during a manicure.
All right, Mr. Pears, some time ago, you went into the defendant's salon to have a mani and a pedi.
Yes.
And when you were getting your manicure, I gather that what they also did was to take off some hair on your hands.
No, Your Honor. It wasn't for so I work out and have calluses all over. It was just to soften the skin. So there are these mitts.
Okay, so it's paraffin.
Yes.
It's a sort of paraffin. So it's not hot wax like they used to take off hair.
It's hot. It's supposed to be warm, but not too hot. It's not supposed to be.
Just a second.
Sorry.
They put it on your hands as a procedure to leave it on to soften whatever is on your hands. It's not like a wax. Have you ever had a wax?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you know what that is.
Yes.
That hurts. That's a very hot wax that
Yes.
they put on. They let hard and they rip it off.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unpleasant. But that's not this. This is a paraffin treatment. Now I understand.
Right.
And it is your claim, sir, that the esthetician who was doing that wax on your jeans...
That's not true, Your
that-
Honor.
Shh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Grow up.
Your Honor.
Get a life. There's nothing there. If you can't see it now,
I
and
can't
they're
see
your
it.
jeans.
Your Honor, it's
I
right
just
here.
I just looked at it.
If the way that they treated the jeans changed the way that the jeans fit, it's
Yeah.
their $300
If I were taller,
jeans.
I would be a runway model.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Adam Pears is suing nail salon owner Bao Nguyen for damaging his jeans during a manicure.
Now, it is your claim, sir, that the esthetician was clumsy and spilled some wax on your jeans.
That's not true, Your
That-
Honor.
shh. Spilled some wax on your jeans and it went through and it burned you. That's what your case is about. You want $600. Now, I assume those are the jeans. Are those the jeans?
Yeah, these are the jeans.
Sure. Just to answer my question. Don't think of where I'm going. Don't think of the... Just answer the question. Those are the jeans. Now,
These are the jeans.
the defendant says that it was your fault. You moved around and knocked over this paraffin. The truth of the matter is...
That's true, Your Honor.
I'll be quiet. Truth of the matter is, I don't care. Now that I understand that this paraffin was supposed to go on your hands for this burn that you're complaining about. Is that correct?
You're right.
Right.
No, Your Honor.
Your
Because
Honor-
now I'm going to rule in his
maybe
favor
you could-
because you're annoying.
I apologize.
Because if wax fell on you, it was supposed to be on your skin. It was supposed to be someplace. So if it fell on your jeans, it was supposed to be on your skin. You have no proof of injury. You have no proof of injury, is that right?
Correct.
Good. So let's talk about the jeans. Now, those are the jeans that got splattered with wax.
Yes,
May
Your
I
Honor.
see the jeans? How did you get the jeans in your possession, Mr. Nagayan?
So Adam called it, made a remark about the incident, but we...
Just answer my question.
he
Did he
came by the
bring them
salon
in?
and
He came by the salon and
and
showed
dropped
you
it
that
off.
these jeans... Is this what you're talking about?
Just one little spot.
I'm not asking you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, is this what you're talking about?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Would you ask him to point to me what he's complaining about?
Clean these jeans.
What?
Your Honor, this is the spot that I was...
That was the spot that you were
This is the
complaining
spot,
about.
but it was much worse before.
But
so-
it's not worse now.
Well, the problem is with the fabric, the fit might not be the same. So
Bye. We're done.
If
The
they're-
case is dismissed. It's over. Grow up. Get a life. Grow up.
Your Honor,
Get a life. There's
I mean,
nothing there.
well-
if it's not there, if you can't see it now,
I can't
and they're
see
your
it.
jeans.
Your Honor, it's
I
right
just
here.
looked at it. Goodbye.
Oh,
We're done.
Your Honor.
Goodbye. We're
may
finished.
May I just say, if the jeans...
Goodbye. We're finished.
If the way that they treated the jeans changed the way that the jeans fit, it's their $300
If I were taller,
jeans.
I would be a runway model. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She spilled the wax on the jeans.
No, I did.
He said that he would cover the cost of the jeans multiple times.
I tried to be very reasonable, offer to take the jeans to professionally clean.
I guess I should just go to the salon naked if I'm going to get a mani and pedi so people don't ruin my clothes.
Because we want to make every customer happy.
Fed up, waiting for his coworker to pay up.
I sent him a text message saying, I'm going to take you to small claims on this matter then.
Then his own paycheck stopped.
I filed a protection order the day after I
Making it impossible for him to go to work.
It was in my belief that he was going to continue to harass me while I was at work.
I don't care what you believe. You abuse the system.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Scott Sylvester is suing his former roommate and co-worker, 23-year-old Joshua Sumrow, for the return of rent and security deposit and lost wages.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 366 on the calendar in the matter of Sylvester versus Sumrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Sylvester, you and the defendant worked together.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you work?
We worked at Kazuki Ramen. It's a ramen house, a restaurant.
How long had you been working there?
We both worked there for about 5 months. I was there in the opening, so was he. So we opened the restaurant together, basically.
Did you know each other before you opened the restaurant?
No, Your Honor.
And there came a time when you decided to room together. Was that a permanent arrangement for you or a temporary arrangement for you?
Definitely temporary. It was kind of more of a personal favor. The apartment was far away from downtown, and at the time I wasn't driving. We went and saw the place together. The landlord liked me. They're like, could you please just move in for a couple of months until you find another arrangement, which I did allow, but I didn't want to be on the lease, and I wanted to pay less than him because I knew I wouldn't be there as frequently.
Were you on the lease?
No.
Only you were on the lease?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you put down security deposit?
Yes.
How much?
$350.
And you moved out after a couple of months?
Just 1 month, really. 2 months.
I thought it was 2 months.
2 months.
Did you give him his security deposit back?
I returned $250 of his security deposit back. And
why?
I withheld $100 for outstanding bills from the months that he had lived there.
I've never seen a dollar.
Just a second.
Sorry.
What bills?
I have a garbage bill, a cable bill, and an electric bill.
And how much do all of those bills add up to together?
They totaled $269.84.
Bird, would you show those to the plaintiff, please? Because we're going to get to the crux of this case in a minute.
The previous payment is here, and then this is the actual bill from that time
Current
period.
bill.
Yeah, no, I've seen the bills. I paid him in cash for these bills. I never saw $1 from the deposit. It was $350. I also helped him out for
Just a second.
You want these?
No, I don't want them at all. I'm not getting involved with that. There's one issue in this case, and I'm not getting involved with your $250 complaint, sir, that he did give you some money back from the...
No, I never received $1 from the deposit or the rent that's owed. Basically, I moved out early September with the agreement that when his new roommate moved in, I would receive the money for that rent and also the deposit.
Do you have proof that you returned any part of the deposit to him?
No, everything was dealt with in cash.
Okay. Now, you moved out on what date, sir?
It was like September 2nd, between the 2nd and the 5th.
Now, so I'm not getting involved in it because if you actually believed that he owed you money and there was so much animus, late October, you wouldn't have gone to his house for a house party, which is really the crux of this case, which is the only part of it that I'm dealing with. So let's understand that. If you felt that he owed you prorated rent or some money for security deposit, when you were invited to his home a month later, a month after you moved out, for a party, I would not have gone if I was in an acrimonious situation with somebody. So you went to a party at his house in October.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me what happened when you went to the party in October, because that's what this case is about.
When I went to the party in October, we discussed the deposit and the monies owed. And as you mentioned, I did have some resentment.
You shouldn't have gone.
Yeah, I really shouldn't have gone.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Okay.
You know, he basically got violent with me about it. He pushed me outside the door and then
Told you
locked
to
the
leave.
door. Yeah.
Unlocked the door.
He locked the door with my keys inside for a cab to get home.
And
then the next day, he said a bunch of crazy things to our manager that we work for.
I don't know whether he did or not. That's hearsay.
Either way, though.
Because there's nobody here.
Either way, I sent him a text message saying, I'm going to take you to small claims on this matter then. I
So
gave him the small
I'd like
claims
to
paperwork.
see that text.
I don't have the text with me, but I do have the small claims paperwork that I filed.
Listen to me carefully.
Yes.
I want to see the text where you said to him, I'm going to small claims court. You say you have a text. Use your phone right there.
Yeah, I do not have the text, unfortunately. This is a new phone.
You know how many times I hear people, how did you get a new phone when you lost your job? What you're suing for here is lost wages. When did you get a new phone?
It was a very affordable phone, Your Honors. I do have the small claims paperwork.
Just a second. Listen, I'm going to do my drill when I'm satisfied that I'm going to throw you both out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Good. Now, so you don't have the text.
No.
And you said if I don't get satisfaction, according to you, which you don't have because you bought a new phone, you said I'm going to take you to small claims court. And you filed a small claims case on what date?
The The small claims was filed on October 31st.
On what date were you served with the small claims case?
I was served that Monday, I believe.
By whom?
His mother.
Where?
She came behind the bar.
Working at the same restaurant?
That is correct.
Were you working the same shift?
No.
What shift were you working?
I was working my afternoon shift, so I was working the 4:30 to close shift.
And what shift were you working, sir?
I did not work that day, the 31st.
What shift did you usually work?
I worked the same shifts as Josh.
So then you were both working the same shift, except for the day you was allegedly served with a small claims case.
Yeah.
Just answer my questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now I would like to see the small claims case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I see two small claims cases.
Yes, I amended the order to include the lost wages after he filed a restraining order to keep me from work.
Just a second. But you left things out when you filed an amended complaint. First claim you asked for, not that I'm getting involved in it, prorated rent, a loan, and your possessions, and your deposit. The second case you filed was deposit, rent, and lost wages. So I assume that you got your loan back and your possessions back.
No, I didn't. I've not gotten my...
All right. Now, the whole thrust of this case, and the only part that I will hear,
Yes, ma'am.
so that's nonsense, is that at some point you filed a protective order against him.
That is correct.
On what date?
I filed a protection order the day after I received the small claims court.
Basically in response. Yeah.
Don't speak. You filed it the day after.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And I would like to see the date that you filed it and the allegations that you make.
Okay, I have the petition, and I also have the temporary order, if you'd like.
Let's see the petition. Now I would like you, sir, to explain to me the reason that you filed this protective order a day after you were served with a small claims case.
So the incident that occurred at my house, as it states in the petition, he was sexually harassing a house guest. Upon being asked to stop, he berated her using...
Who cares?
Okay. I kicked him out.
Who cares?
I kicked him out. I didn't feel the need to call the police because he was intoxicated. I wanted the matter to end there. He made it clear that he was not going to end the matter there.
No, just say, don't tell me what he made clear.
Yes,
He was
ma'am.
bothering somebody at your party. You did. And I want you to tell me what he did that inspired you, after you were served with a small claim case, to file a protective order.
He made it clear that...
No, not clear. That is an assumption, sir, based upon facts, which you are going to tell me, and the facts had better be consistent with what you wrote in your answer, which you probably don't remember.
In my petition order?
No, in my case.
Okay.
In my case. So I want you to tell me specifically what Mr. Sylvester said or did to you that inspired you to file for a protective order the day after you were served with a small claims case.
The day after I was served with a small claims case, it was in my belief that he was going to continue to harass me while I was at work, and therefore I filed the protection order.
I want to tell you something. You abuse the system. I don't care what you believe. Your mother cares what you believe. Maybe your sister cares what you believe. Maybe your mother cares how you feel. Maybe your sister cares how you feel. The law doesn't give a rat's ass how you feel. The law believes in facts. And so far I've asked you 3 times to give me something specific that Mr. Sylvester said to file for a protective order against him, excluding him from your workplace, because that's what you asked for. Excluding him from your workplace. And I guarantee you, on Bird's life, that you did not tell the judge before whom you were requesting this protective order that you worked in the same place?
I made it very clear.
Oh, I don't believe that. Then,
I made it very clear
I don't
to the
believe
judge.
that, because then you're telling me that the judge was a moron.
The judge suspended it. He didn't issue a restraining. He didn't issue a permanent restraining order.
No. You asked for. That's not what I'm saying to you, sir. Let's make ourselves perfectly clear.
Yes, ma'am.
You requested a protective order on an emergency basis, excluding him from your workplace.
That's correct.
And the judge granted that application on an emergency basis, therefore making it impossible for him to go to work. And I guarantee you that you didn't tell that judge who granted the temporary restraining order based on this nonsense that he was a fellow worker along with you. You may have told the judge who heard the final order of protection, right?
No, but I disclosed his working location when the judge asked where the perfect place for service would be, service of the actual document.
I think that you overstepped it, and you abused the system, and you abused him. Now, if you felt threatened, which I think you did not, was this, by the way, this young woman that he was making come-ons to at the party, was this somebody that you knew well? And give me the first name.
Her name was Van Lynn, and yes, it is somebody that I know well.
Is it somebody that you were dating?
You could say that.
That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, we were dating.
Right.
Casually.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
if I had been aware that I was supposed to be out by October 31st, you bet your bottom dollar I would have been there.
Well, that's too bad. You're not losing so far, right? Is there anything that I did? I'm not buying her story.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Scott Sylvester says former roommate Joshua Sumrow owes for the return of rent and security deposit and lost wages.
So while I'm not getting involved with the rest of this nonsense, I am awarding him money for lost wages. Okay. Abuse me as part of a system because you used it in retaliation. Your girlfriend didn't feel threatened enough to go and seek a protective order. And you never sought a protective order before you were served with a small claims case. And this was after the party.
It's for the same...
Just a second. We're done. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're finished. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nobody wanted to live with him. He's a slob.
When I woke up to him cleaning my house...
He's always broke, and it's red flags.
And having random people that I'd never met before coming to view the house.
So the few people that I did bring by, they were like, this is disgusting.
Before 30 days notice was given, yeah, it made my life kind of difficult.
And I'm definitely not doing this. So it was a trouble to get that spot.
Not going to do it again.
And hopefully this is one step closer for Joshua becoming a man. A lot of child activity, and I'm just glad to have some of my wages back.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rader versus Walker. Step forward, please.
Alana Rader is suing Timothy Walker for stealing the contents of her apartment.
Miss Rader, in April of this year, you left some property in some sort of women's residence. Yes. You moved into an apartment. That property was, I gather, stored in some sort of a garage. You didn't pay any money for the property for 5 months. Now, Mr. Walker rented that property, which included the garage, correct?
Correct.
And he says that he got rid of all the stuff because he was paying rent on this property and didn't want your stuff in a place where he was paying rent, right?
Correct.
Now, when you rented the property, sir, who did you rent it from?
Landlord lived across the street.
Tell me what kind of residence it is.
It's a transitional housing for women.
Now, you rented it for what purpose?
To continue providing services for women.
Continue the business.
Correct.
So you run a business there.
Correct.
Now, you found certain property in the garage, correct?
Correct.
What property was in the garage?
Boxes, trash.
Was there any furniture in the garage?
It was pieces of furniture.
Like what?
Couches.
Okay. How many couches were there?
I believe it was 2 sets.
Did you take either of those 2 sets of furniture into the house?
No, ma'am.
Did you take any furniture from the garage into the house?
No, ma'am.
What did you do with all the property that was in the garage?
I had it removed from the property.
When?
November 1st.
When you started paying rent?
Correct.
Okay.
In the morning, I called him and said, I'm on my way over to pick up my things.
I think that that's a bit of a scam.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Alana Rader claims Timothy Walker stole nearly all her belongings.
I'm listening.
Okay, I had actually called Mr. Walker on October 21st to tell him that I would be getting my things on November 1st because I had through November 1st.
How did you have through November 1st?
Because he was then moving in.
No, he was moving in on November 1st.
Yes.
So you had to get your things out of there by October 31st.
That isn't what I was told.
Well, I don't care what you were told. He was paying rent as of November 1st. So you can't tell him when you're going to get your stuff out. If you called him October 21st, why didn't you get your stuff out October 22nd?
Well, he said fine at that point in time.
Did you tell her fine?
No, ma'am.
What did you tell her?
I notified the previous owner to let everybody know as of November 1st, get in contact with anybody, because I don't know who was living there prior to me, and to get their stuff out of there.
Did you ever speak to her?
I don't recall, ma'am.
I do. It was on October 31st.
On what?
21st.
On October 21st?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you get your stuff out? He was in there April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. 7 months.
Yes.
That your junk was there without paying any storage fee, without doing anything, without contacting anybody.
Right.
He doesn't have to store your stuff.
No,
Mrs.
absolutely not.
Then you should have gotten your stuff out October 31st.
Well, I was told through, and that's a key word, through November 1st. So on November 1st in the morning, I called him and said, I'm on my way over to pick up my things.
I think that that's a bit of a scam. If you could go over through November 1st, you could have gone up to October 31st. What's the magic of November 1st after 7 months?
Because I had been told that I needed to get my things out by November 1st.
You're not getting any money. That's not happening. If you wanted this stuff, you would have gotten it out before. And that was your problem. He's not responsible for your stuff. He's paying rent.
Yes.
And you're not. And he doesn't have to look at your junk in the garage that you've left there, abandoned for 7 months without paying any storage. He doesn't have to pay rent, which is how much for the property?
$2,500.
He doesn't have to pay $2,500 a month starting November 1st. Not through November 1st, starting November 1st.
If I had been aware that I was supposed to be out by October 31st, you bet your bottom dollar I would have been there with bells on.
Well, that's too bad. But you're not losing so far.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I'm not buying her story because how old are you?
In my 60s.
You're in your 60s and you've had apartments?
Yes.
Yes. And when you start renting an apartment, if you start the 1st of the month, you move in on the 1st of the month, then it's yours.
Yes.
It doesn't belong to the previous tenant until midnight on the 1st of the month.
That's right. No. So I could have come at 1 a.m. on November 1st, and I would have been within my legal rights.
Goodbye. We're done. I'm done with you.
No, Judge Judy, I want to say one thing. This man is a liar and a thief.
You're a hustler.
And I'm a what?
Party's not excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Because this man lied to me and said that all of my things were on the curb. He told me that November 1st.
Thought it was perfect. Fair.
I was just calling him to tell him that I was on my way, which I was.
I took possession of the property. Was partially furnished.
But he said, no, all of your things are being carried away in this big truck, even as we...
She's suing the wrong person.
But you can bet your bottom dollar, Mr. Walker, we're going to see each other again.
For that split second, you took your eyes off the road.
Yes, ma'am.
A driver collides with a kid.
The little girl just pops out of nowhere.
And she broke her...
tibia in her knee.
She's lucky she wasn't killed.
But where were her parents?
Who do you think is at fault?
I believe he is.
And what about you? And your wife? You didn't do what you were supposed to do, which is watch your child.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Jordan and Arisha Green are suing motorist 23-year-old Anthony Smith for hitting their daughter while she was crossing the street.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 400 on the calendar in the matter of Green versus Smith.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. and Mrs. Green, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And she was hit while playing on your watch by a car driven by for her medical bills. And then I see that you revised your claim because her medical bills were covered.
Yes, ma'am.
And now what you're suing for is pain and suffering and lost wages. Yours, not hers. She doesn't work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me when this accident happened.
April 4th, 2016.
What time?
It was approximately 4-ish, 5-ish in the afternoon.
What I gather from reading these papers, there was some sort of a barbecue or something going on in the neighborhood, that there were lots of people outside. What was it?
Yes, ma'am. It was spring break. The children were out of school for the week, so they were outside playing, and a neighbor of mine was having like a cookout in their front yard.
Were both you and your wife at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other children at home?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
1.
How old?
He is 4. He's her younger brother.
How old are you?
7.
Did you actually see when your daughter was hit by the car?
No, ma'am, not the moment she was struck.
So at the time she was hit, neither of you were watching her?
Correct.
What kind of car were you driving, sir?
2006 Volvo S60.
And on April 4th of 2016, was your car insured?
Yes, ma'am.
So there was insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
And we agree on that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that at some point, and I'm going to get that the two of you consulted an attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you consult an attorney?
It was the next day, on the 5th.
We're going to get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
So since you didn't see what happened, I'm going to ask you what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay, as I arrived in the neighborhood, I would say it was around about between 4 and 5 o'clock.
Is that a neighborhood that you're familiar with?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I lived there since high school.
You live in that neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
Because your house isn't here.
Recently, I've moved outside of the neighborhood now.
But was your house depicted in this sign?
Might I step over to the top?
Yes, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So I say we were coming from the end of the street.
No, show me first where your house was.
My house is directly in front of his house. Well, so if this is his house, my house would probably be right here. It was the houses were a couple more spaced out between where his daughter was. We was probably about 3-4 houses more down the street. So I'll probably have to say probably right here in his house.
Okay, but you weren't going to your house. You were going to your friend's house.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. He stays inside of the cul-de-sac.
Because that sign in blue says friend's house. Is that where you were going?
I was heading directly up the street into the cul-de-sac of the circle.
You live in the cul-de-sac?
Yes, ma'am.
So the friend's house was the friends that she was going to
Yes,
visit.
ma'am.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
So you live Go ahead.
So as I pulled inside the neighborhood, I noticed Brett was pulling in. So we stopped at the end of the street. We'll be at the stop sign. So I stopped. We rode
Now
up.
you can go back.
Okay, thank you. We stopped at the end of the stop sign, rolled down the window, probably had about 30 seconds worth of talking back and forth. And then I told him I would pull down to his house, which was in the cul-de-sac, which we had another friend awaiting us that was in front of his house already standing outside.
Okay, so you were following him.
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't see the accident.
I didn't see it until...
Okay. Go ahead.
So as we were pulling up the street, you can notice that there were some activities going on as far as outside. You had on the left side, which would be the friend's house, it was probably about 15 people outside at the cookout, usual cookouts and stuff like that. So it's not out to normal. And it's normal for the kids to be running in and out the street. So as we pulled inside the neighborhood, we were only going like 4, 5, 10 miles per hour. As I met him at the end of the street, I told him, yo, make sure you drive slow. You know these kids are running out in front of this car. So we pulled down, we're pulling in. We know everybody pretty much on the street. So we blow the horns, say hey to everybody. As I falling behind Brett, with probably about 5 feet between us. And I'm pulling further up the street. And I look to the right, look to the left, but as I'm, how you doing? I turn back around, the little girl just pops out of nowhere. And I'm only 5 feet between Brett, and I'm following behind him. So with him going through the road, it's kind of giving me confirmation that there's no little kids gonna run out.
So she ran out between 2 parked cars?
No, 2 driving cars, which he was driving in front of me.
So when she ran out, now you can go back there.
Mm-hmm.
When she came out of her area, her side of the street. Okay. And it's clear she was going to a friend's house. That's what you say. And the friend's house was across the street.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave her permission to go across the street to the friend's house.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now she's crossing the street.
So she was crossing the street. I mean, there was a whole bunch of kids, and outside our neighborhood, the kids in the neighborhood, it's not like their play yard.
No, don't make it. Just tell me what happened.
Okay, yeah, the kids were in multiple yards. They were playing from one yard to the next yard.
On the other side of the street?
Yes, they were running. It was one kid, it was a group of kids over here, and a group of kids over there.
So they were running back and forth?
Yes, as they was communicating to each other, I'm figuring that's when she got the cue to go across the street. Another kid might have sighted her to cross the street without.
I don't know. Were there cars parked on the street?
Yes, there was a car parked on the street.
Now, let's just be clear. Is it correct that there was a car parked on the street?
Yes.
So when she ran out, point of impact?
When she ran out, I heard people yelling, "Stop!" But at that time, I was looking back, and she just literally came from behind.
You were looking back where?
I was looking to my right, but when I looked back to my left to just see where everybody was yelling, she just literally came from behind the trunk of a Crown Vic, and she's not even taller than the trunk, so I didn't even see her over the car. By the time I seen her, it was like one just big step, and she was right there in front of my car.
And she broke her
tibia and her knee.
In two places?
Yes.
She's lucky she wasn't killed.
Yes.
And she wasn't killed because he wasn't going that fast.
Right.
Yes.
If he was going faster, she would have been killed.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go back, sir. So she went to the hospital. She had surgeries on her leg. And the next day, you contacted a lawyer. What was the name of the lawyer?
Mange and Associates.
And they took your case?
Yes, ma'am.
When did the lawyer drop your case?
About 6 months later, that everything was picked up as far as the insurance.
What do you mean that everything was picked up as far as insurance? The lawyer didn't take the case just to cover your medical bills. The lawyer took the case for compensation.
Right.
Medical bills were covered. Did you sign a general release?
Yes, ma'am.
You signed the general release with the lawyer and sat...
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you doing here, is my question. I'm trying to figure it out now. I mean, I didn't know this. It's not anywhere in the papers. But his insurance company made a settlement with you. In what amount of money?
We have no settlement, Your Honor.
Well, you did, because if you signed a settlement... Did they sign a settlement agreement with your insurance company?
The insurance company did give me a call and tell me they were pursuing further something more on the case.
What?
The insurance company did call me and told me they was looking to sue me.
Did your insurance company pay the Listen, I'm a really smart lady. Did your insurance company pay their medical bills? That's very easy. I can pick up the phone.
Yes.
You can get the information. Did his insurance company pay your medical bills?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Well, they didn't pay your medical bills to say, you know what, you're a nice person, we're going to pay your medical bills. You signed a settlement agreement with them. Do you have a copy of the settlement agreement?
No, we don't.
Get it. What?
As the police, I was kind of confused, too, because when the police showed up, I didn't get ticketed.
I don't know. What I want to know is why the attorney dropped the case. And either the attorney dropped the case because there was a settlement, the attorney dropped the case because he said, listen, there really is no liability here, so I'm not going to waste any more of my time. I don't know what the reason is, but I do know that her medical bills had to be in the tens of thousands of dollars if she's had surgery, and if they didn't pay for those medical bills unless you signed a settlement, which I want to see.
I don't have a copy of it.
Great. We're going to go get it, and we'll come back. Thank you.
This case will be recalled. You step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's no question that the defendant wasn't speeding. So in order to find in your favor, I have to find that he was negligent. It's not just because an accident happened that somebody is financially liable. Somebody is financially liable if they actually are at fault.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
In a case recalled from earlier today, Jordan and Arisha Green say motorist Anthony Smith hit their daughter while she was crossing the street.
Judges recall case number 400 in the matter of Green versus Smith. Parties are reminded you're still under oath.
It's my understanding that you do not have a settlement with the insurance company because Mr. Smith's insurance company did not pay the medical bills. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who paid the medical bills?
Medicaid.
Now I go back to my original question. Your attorney that you originally hired 5 months later decided to drop the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he or she explain why?
Not really. The lawyers that we had, they didn't communicate with us the entire...
I have a police report.
I couldn't locate it. I just have the insurance, copy of my insurance.
Is there currently a claim pending by the plaintiffs against your insurance company?
No, ma'am. Actually, because of the accident, they ended up dropping me from my insurance company.
Can I see that letter?
I don't have the letter stating that they dropped me, but as of August, they told me since I had gotten to the accident of hitting her, they had no choice but to drop me from my plan.
May I see the letter from the insurance company canceling your insurance?
This is it right here. This showing that it's effective until, I think that was up until August or so.
I want to see what other information you have from your insurance company. I see that this says that it's effective from February until August, but I want to know that it was still in effect in April.
Okay.
It says effective 2/9/16. I want to know that it was in effect in April, which means that you paid your premiums and they hadn't dropped you.
I don't believe I have the copy showing that I paid the April bill.
Mr. Smith, if I call the insurance company, and don't waste my time because, you know, I'm busy and I get cranky. If I call the insurance company, will they tell me that your policy had lapsed in April?
No, ma'am.
They will tell me that?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Did you contact his insurance company?
No, ma'am.
Who did?
The lawyers.
And?
They did not return my call as far as knowing the information for that case. So I pursued how I could obtain money through...
So you don't know?
Personally.
Got it. What?
So my insurance company did come out and they did question everybody at the scene after he filed a claim against me, as far as the families that were out there that day, and asked for that probably could have helped him in his case or probably could have helped me in my case. But the insurance company came out there, but everybody that was out there said they didn't see anything.
Listen to me. I just want to find out whether your policy was in effect.
Gotcha.
Were you not driving your car?
The car that I was driving that day was given to me by my dad. I had just finished up medical school, so I wasn't.
Who's Valerie?
My stepmom.
So this you just showed me is insurance that's owned by Valerie?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, you want to tell me what the story is here so that I can simplify it for myself?
I had a previous car that went out probably a month ahead of that time.
And?
I had to still make it back and forth to school, and I was almost on the merge of finishing. So my dad, instead of going out buying a new car, they just gave me the insurance plan.
Were you supposed to change the insurance to your name?
I wasn't supposed to change the insurance into my name until August. She gave me until the insurance renewal was until it was over with, until August, which then come August, I was have to renew under my own insurance plan. But it ended up happening before August.
Were you a named insured on that policy?
No.
I knew that something wasn't right.
Yes.
Okay. So while there may have been insurance on the car, if your stepmother was driving the car, you were never added as another driver. And you had taken this car to finish school?
Yes, I was just driving it back and forth to school.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was outside with her friend's mother and father who were up on the porch.
And they didn't watch her carefully enough?
Yes, they watched her.
No, they didn't watch her carefully enough. If they watched her carefully enough, she wouldn't have gotten hit by a non-speeding car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jordan and Arisha Green claim motorist Anthony Smith is at fault for hitting their daughter while she was crossing the street.
Now, what's your daughter's first name?
Journey.
Who are you? Have a seat, Journey. You're 7?
Yes.
You remember the day of this accident, right?
Yes.
You were going across to visit your friends? Across
Yes.
the street? Do you remember running out the street?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
I looked both ways, and then I get hit.
Would you go have a seat? I understand why your attorney dropped the case. Dropped the case probably because the insurance probably didn't cover the defendant as a driver of the car. That's a possibility. It also is a possibility, Mr. and Mrs. Green, that they, like the attorneys, said, you know what? This was a terrible accident and very unfortunate. There's no question that the defendant wasn't speeding. So in order to find in your favor, I have to find that he was negligent. Do you understand? It's not just because an accident happened that somebody is financially liable. Somebody is financially liable if they actually are at fault. Now, you didn't see the accident.
Oh, ma'am.
Who do you think is at fault?
I believe he is.
And what about you and your wife?
I believe we share some of the blame.
That's true. That's part of what we call responsibility. And share some of the responsibility because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, which is watch your child. She's too young to be crossing the street without somebody shepherding her across the street.
Right.
And then the next part of it is, what could Mr. Smith have done to avoid the accident? He wasn't speeding. He was going very slowly because if he wasn't, she would have been dead. Right? There's no question about that. She's a little girl. She has little bones, and she fractured a bone. Who do you think is responsible for her pain and suffering if you're partially responsible for her injury?
Well, I believe him due to the fact that there were multiple adults outside at the scene. There were numerous children outside, and although I was not physically at the accident, she was outside with her friend's mother and father who were up on the porch.
Then they didn't watch her carefully enough?
Yes, they watched her.
No, they didn't watch her carefully enough. If they watched her carefully enough, she wouldn't have gotten hit by a non-speeding car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Let me tell you, what you're suing him for is for $5,000. And part of that is for your lost wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, since you're responsible as a parent for this accident, your responsibility is to watch your child. So your lawsuit for your lost wages and taking care of your daughter is dismissed. The next part of your lawsuit is you're asking for pain and suffering for your daughter. And for that, you have to bear at least part of the responsibility because you're her parents. She darted out between the cars, and how am I supposed to find him guilty of negligence? There was an investigation. He was not cited by the police. Was he not paying careful enough attention? The only thing that you said to me, Mr. Smith, that suggests to me that your eyes were deflected for a moment is you said to me at some point right before the impact with Journey, you looked over and waved hi to a friend.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was honest. So for that split second, you took your eyes off the road.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think there has to be some responsibility for that. Certainly not $5,000 worth of responsibility because the majority of that belongs to you. Anyway, I'm not awarding you $5,000 as you requested, but I think that even Mr. Smith, I think he understands that he does bear some responsibility. But I believe that the majority of responsibility for protecting Journey is yours because you're her parents. And you didn't do that on the 4th of April. I'm awarding you $1,000 for her pain and suffering, but that's for her, not for you. Anyway, she's cute.
May step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
I'm happy with the decision. I do feel as if he was more responsible.
I do believe there was some blame for me and some blame for the parents.
I was disappointed because I knew that it took place in the moment that we didn't have our eyes physically on our child.
She just wasn't thinking as an adult, so I don't completely blame her. I just think it was a freak accident.
I'm happy that my daughter's here.
Drive safe, pay attention. If you think you look left and right, look left and right twice.
We walked up to the car and we said, can we get our ball back?
And what did she say to you?
She said no.
Taking a child's basketball wasn't a slam dunk.
You actually stole his property.
No, ma'am.
No, I'm telling you, that's not a question.
Oh, it is?
That's not a question.
But did this young boy commit a foul?
He came up and he kicked the car. He then said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Lamont, back up here.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Cheryl Brown is suing her neighbor, Lamont Turner, for damage caused to her car when his...
Yeah, this is case number 359 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Turner.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Okay, so I'm going to create a visual from the papers that I've read. Miss Brown, you and the Turners live in the same community.
Yes, ma'am.
And are these your two boys?
Yes.
How old are you?
11.
And you?
9.
What's your name?
Lamont.
And the boys play, and they play in the street in front of your house, and sometimes they sort of spill over into your yard. Based upon what I'm reading here, you've found that annoying because in addition to playing in front of your yard, sometimes they deposit trash there. You know, they'll eat an ice cream or a candy, and the wrapper ends up where you are. Anyway, at some point, the boys were playing basketball, and Lamont left his basketball in your yard.
Yes, ma'am.
You had had enough. You took the basketball and you took it inside.
Yes.
You were pulling out in your car. Was that the next day or the same day?
Well, can I?
No. Next day or the same day?
It was several days.
Several days later. Was it just Lamont and his brother, or were there other kids around too?
There was several other kids.
And they said, do you have that basketball?
Who came to my car was Lamont and another kid.
Okay, so Lamont and another kid came to your car and said, do you have?
I have several balls.
He said, I want it back.
Yeah, he said, I want it back and you're going to give it to me.
Well, first he said, I want it back. No, he wasn't fresh. He said, I want my basketball.
No, he was fresh.
Not at the beginning. He wouldn't start out being fresh. That's not common sense.
They came to my car, they knocked on the window and said, you have our ball, we want it back.
And you added, and you're going to give it to me, because that's the fresh part. You have that basketball, and I want it back. That's perfectly reasonable. The other part was not, and I couldn't ascribe that to an 11-year-old. As it happened, he didn't say that to you, because that's not what you told me just a second ago when you revised your statement. At the beginning, you said, you have that ball, and you're going to give it to me. And that's different from the second statement.
Okay.
Then you say, at some point during that exchange, he kicked your car. That's why we're here.
Okay.
About the kick to your car. You, up here. Lamont, did you think that I was just harsh with Mrs. Brown?
No, ma'am.
You didn't?
No,
I
ma'am.
did. So, after she took the basketball inside, who told you she had the basketball?
She did, because when she was coming down the street, we said...
In the car?
Yeah, we wasn't even in the street. We was up in the driveway. And then we walked up to the car and we said, can we get our ball back?
Just a second. I want you to tell me exactly what you said to her and what she said to you.
I said, can I get my ball back? And she said, no. And then I was like, I'm going to get my daddy. And she said, excuse my language. Can I say exactly what she said? She said, go get your daddy.
So, did that make you angry?
Yes.
Did you kick her car?
No, ma'am.
Who kicked her car?
No one.
Somebody kicked her car. I believe what you said to me so far. But she's going to show me pictures of her car. You're a little boy. You can't do that much damage. So, really, she cursed.
Yes.
And what did you do when she cursed?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No. I went to go get my daddy.
Okay. Go sit down. Okay, so he came up to the car. I actually believe exactly what he said you said to him. And was it that point that he kicked your car?
No.
When did he kick your car?
Since they were all in the street, I went over to the crowd of boys and girls. I asked where he stayed. They wouldn't tell me. And then someone yelled, he lives around the corner. So I went around the corner. I was knocking on doors to try to find out who his parents were.
Why?
Because it had to be somebody in the neighborhood.
Why?
Because I needed to talk to his parent.
About what?
Because he was disrespectful.
He was disrespectful?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't think about his father because I didn't know who his father was or where he was.
I know you didn't know it.
I never
That's
said
not the... Okay, so you were going around the neighborhood to try to find his parents because he said something disrespectful to you. I want you to tell me what he said that was disrespectful.
That we want our ball back. So I wanted to talk to the parents.
Well, that's not disrespectful.
Well, I felt disrespected.
Well, I don't care what you felt. I'm telling you, it's not disrespectful.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Now you're going around to try to find out where his parents live.
Yes, ma'am. And they wouldn't tell me. So when I came back from knocking on the door, I said, I'll give you $5 if you tell me who his parents are. They said, we don't rock that way, quote unquote. And then at that point, as I'm sitting in my car, he came up and he kicked the car.
Okay.
Then one of the other boys restrained him because he then said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Okay, now I'd like to see a photograph of what you allege he did to your car.
Okay, this is the car as it looks. This is the damage to the car and the door. There's also a police report with him admitting to kicking the car.
I'd like to see that too.
And also his statement about...
Bert, would you tell me what this is a picture of?
Miss, where is the damage?
It's this right here.
Okay, Lamont, listen to me. Back up here. I'm going to give you a lesson that hopefully is for the rest of your life. You either lied to me today or you lied to the police when you spoke to them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because you couldn't have told the truth both times because you told the police that you kicked the car. And you even told the police why you kicked the car. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you remember telling the police why you kicked the car?
No.
You told the police that you kicked the car because Brown called him a little boy. That's a quote from the police. So either you were lying to the police or you're lying to me. You want to tell me which one it is?
I lied to the police because
that's not a good thing to do. It's not a good thing to lie to anybody. How's that? Now you can go sit down. First of all, Miss Brown, I actually don't understand the whole problem with young people playing in the street or playing on grass or maybe dropping a ball on your front lawn. You actually stole his property.
No, ma'am.
No, I'm telling you, that's not a question.
Oh, it is?
That's not a question. That's what I'm saying to you. When you deprive the owner of property of their property, and you did so by taking it and moving it into your house, it's a larceny. Just listen to me.
Yes.
That's the law.
May I speak to that? Again, that this is not the first time. There have been several balls left in my yard, along with trash left in my yard. They would leave their jackets and everything in my yard. I would pick it up and bring it inside. I had several balls. So again, I'm not sure what ball was his or not. But again, with me having to pick up and clean up trash out of the street, plus with them playing ball in the street, it is a hazard because I've lived there 16 years. I've seen a kid get hit. And I was asking them nicely. I've spoken to parents nicely. Please don't let your children play basketball over a two-lane street. That's the reason.
No. You took his property, and if you didn't know who it belonged to, he then told you who it belonged to. You had the responsibility to return it to him, seek to find out who his parents are. You can do that. But what I'm telling you is when you hold on to someone's property and refuse to return it to them, it's a larceny.
Well,
I don't care it's a well.
I didn't larceny
You're not a lawyer.
anything.
Are you
I
a
cleaned
lawyer?
up my yard.
Are you a lawyer?
No, ma'am.
I'm telling you, it's a larceny. It's the same thing. Let's say it wasn't a basketball, and it was a 4-carat engagement ring that you found on your lawn.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took it, and I know I dropped it. It had to be here. Came up, knocked at your door, and said, "Do you have my 4-carat engagement ring?" And you said, "Yes, I do. It was on my lawn, and you can't have it back."
But I had several balls.
I don't care.
I mean, a 4-carat ring is totally different than several balls.
You're playing with me.
No, I'm not playing with you. I'm
you're
telling
playing
you
with me.
exactly.
That doesn't excuse Lamont from kicking your car. And he kicked the car because either he lied to me or he lied to the police. And what he told the police, he told closer in time to the event than now. Now he's had time to
when he talked with the police.
I'm speaking. Now he had time to reflect. He had time to talk to his father, who probably got just as annoyed as I am with her, and say, uncross your hands. Because I know his father wouldn't like a liar any more than I like a liar, right?
True.
Because he either lied to the police or he lied to me. You wouldn't encourage your child to lie to the police, would you?
Right, I wouldn't even let him talk to the police.
He did speak to the police.
And so did he, because it's in the police
I'm not
report.
speaking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
They spoke with him when I wasn't out there.
I don't care.
So I don't know what was said.
I don't care. Your responsibility as a father is to say to your son, if you told the police the day of this incident that you kicked the car because she called you a name, and that's the truth, you have to stick with that, but you don't encourage your son to lie. Do you understand me?
I understand what you're saying.
Great. Now I will see an estimate of what it cost to fix your car.
I never seen the car, seen the damage. How you know the damage wasn't there before that?
How do I know the earth is round?
For real.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
she actually said she would be available, but that I would have to start the process all over again, that my funds were non-transferable or non-refundable.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Cheryl Brown says neighbor 11-year-old Lamont Turner kicked her car after she took his basketball.
You don't understand what I'm saying to you. I think that Miss Brown is 100% off base. They're kids. They're playing sports in the street. They're not doing anything bad for society. They're not doing anything illegal. They're playing basketball. That's what they're supposed to be doing at age 9 and 11. So I have no sympathy for her at all. You get that? He can't kick her car. That's not the response to something that you don't agree with. This lady down the street has my basketball and she won't give it to me. Then you go to her house and you say, you have my son's basketball. Tell me what the problem is. Do you understand how civilized people take care of their problems? And if you condone your son kicking her car in response to her bad behavior, that's inappropriate teaching. You got it? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My kids ain't the only kids out there. There's a gang, a lot of kids in the area, so...
It's definitely about principle because he learned not to lie.
He say he ain't do it, and that's what I'm going with.
He should actually have told the truth at first, but I don't think we would have been here.
Peace. Everything is done and over with.
I hope for peace in the neighborhood, too.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Butler versus Clark. Step forward.
Makeup artist Alexandra Butler is suing Maisha Clark for a false chargeback on PayPal.
How long have you been a makeup artist, Miss Butler?
About 10 years I've been a makeup artist.
And when did Miss Clark contact you about doing makeup for her wedding, for the bridal party?
She reached out to me May 11, 2016.
And when was the wedding scheduled?
It was scheduled for June 2nd, 2017.
More than a year later?
Yes, ma'am.
And you entered into a contract with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy? Do you have a copy of the contract?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see yours as well. Okay, so you signed this contract.
Yes.
And you sent her $905.
Actually $931.65.
And then something happened and the date of the wedding changed.
Yes, correct.
Tell me when it changed to.
It changed from June 2nd, 2017 to October 29th, 2016. We had experienced a miscarriage, so we decided to move up the wedding to start our family.
And you called her?
I emailed her.
When did you advise her that you were moving the date?
September 15th.
And what did she say?
I asked her if she would be available the date of October 29th, 2016.
Well, that's a short window.
Yes.
So she wasn't available.
She actually said she would be available, but that I would have to start the process all over again, that my funds were non-transferable or non-refundable.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And the invoice that she paid, which is also another contract, it states
what it says. Show it to me.
Sure.
I also have
just shh. She's not going to be successful.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Makeup artist Alexandra Butler claims Maisha Clark filed a false chargeback on PayPal.
All right, so let's get it together. We have a contract, and I don't have to waste my time any further on this. What happened was you had paid through PayPal?
Yes, correct.
And you contacted them and disputed the charge?
Correct. I disputed
and PayPal looked at this contract, just as I looked at this contract, and said, there's no non-refundable policy in there. The only thing that you put in the contract is, because it's so far away, more than a year away, if you have to cancel before a certain date, you can get her another makeup artist. If for some reason you're not available. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You didn't turn down another appointment for that date?
Actually, I did turn down a lot of appointments
for
that date.
Well, prove it. First of all, your contract doesn't say that you can keep
she sent.
the contract.
Correct.
The contract that was signed.
Correct.
Doesn't say anything about no refund.
Correct. However, in the invoice that she paid, which is also another contract, it states that...
No, show it to me.
Sure.
What you are relying on.
I also have
shh. She's not going to be successful. She's not going to be successful.
Right here.
But I'm
the
going to
deposit
let
is
her
non-refundable
show
or
me
transferable.
the invoice. Okay. I don't even have to look at it. Listen to me carefully. This is not a contract. This is a contract. This is signed by the two of you. You prepared the contract.
Correct. Yeah, that is correct.
She signed it. You show me her signature here, anywhere.
Well, her payment to the contract.
No. Listen to me carefully.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
You prepared the contract. Let me give you a brief primer as to what the law is.
Sure.
The person who prepares the contract, if there is a dispute, since you actually created the contract, the courts look at that contract most favorably to the other side.
Correct.
Because you prepared the contract. Your contract doesn't say non-refundable. Period.
I have a question.
But if you can demonstrate to me with names, phone numbers, addresses, contracts that you gave up on that date, I may be sympathetic with you because even though it was not written, she did not give you adequate notice and you actually had an out-of-pocket loss.
I have a question.
But I guarantee you, you cannot prove to me. I guarantee you, you cannot prove an out-of-pocket loss for a period of time, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 10 months away. I guarantee it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
If you're a good makeup artist, in 10 months you can find somebody else to
artist.
do a June wedding.
Correct.
Okay. She gets her money back. $931.65. She's got it back? You have it?
Yes.
You don't get it. Because it was taken out of your PayPal.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me, only because the invoice that was paid, it was an understanding through her because it
Just a
states
second.
that.
Don't tell me what she understood. You're trying to ask me to view the operation of her mind. I don't have to do that. You have a contract. It's a written contract. It sets the terms of this agreement. Nowhere in the agreement does it say the contract has a non-refundable deposit on the day that it's paid. She paid you and then got an invoice. You lose. You don't get the money back. Redo your contract. Put in your contract that somebody signs that this is a non-refundable deposit for this particular day. And if at any time...
In the contract part of the invoice.
This is not a contract.
It says contract. It says policies on the invoice.
I don't care what it says. Your
says policies
policy.
on the
I don't
invoice.
care if it says that this is your religion. I don't care if it says that this is what your mother taught you or your father taught you. This is your contract. This is not.
Okay.
Good.
That's a receipt?
Good. You don't get your money. Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, now I'm going to make sure I include it. I'm going to make sure I include a whole lot of information so that I don't get screwed again.
I think that Alexandra's practices are a little deceptive.
Because of people that don't read their invoices.
Given that in the contract, nowhere stated was the money non-refundable.
It's time to move forward. I'm still going to do awesome makeup. I'm still going to be amazing and successful.
Or non-transferable. Only on the invoice after I had paid.
This is just one glitch that happened, and I'll move on from it.
After you had this argument with your brother on the phone, he vandalized your house.
This sister found it.
The TV was cracked, and you can hear and see the water dripping from it.
A friend witnessed it.
Explain to me what you saw him do to the tires.
Took the knife and poked the tires.
Flattened her tires.
Yes, ma'am.
But brother did.
I guess they're against me.
Somebody else did it. That's what you're suggesting.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Shafia Bryant is suing her brother, Richard Blake, for vandalizing her apartment.
Order. All rise. It's case number 405 on the calendar in the matter of Bryant versus Blake.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Blake, I'm going to ask you some questions first. Plaintiff is your sister.
Correct.
And I assume that you had, prior to the 18th of December of last year, a good relationship with her.
Yes.
Because on the 18th of December, she let you use her home to make a party.
No, we ate crabs at her house, but we didn't have a party.
Who ate crabs at her house?
Me and my kids.
It's just you and your children.
And her best friend.
But she wasn't there.
Correct.
Okay. So you and your children, how many children?
2.
And a friend of hers?
Yes.
Oh, you said in December, this is what you said. In December, I hosted a crab dinner at her apartment. So I assumed it was, when you say I hosted, I usually don't put it that way when I have 2 of my kids living at her house at the time.
No.
Okay. And there was some sort of an argument. The argument took place on the phone with your sister because she wasn't in the apartment.
Correct.
And the argument had to do with something stupid about your eating some Halloween candy that belonged to one of her kids. That's what the genesis of it allegedly was, this argument that you had, that you came across some candy in their house when you were there, you had some of it, she made a big deal about it, whatever. I don't care about the argument that happened in October. But you got into another argument with her on the phone.
Correct.
On December 18th.
Yes.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She called me.
And what did she say to you when she called you?
She asked me what happened between me and my daughter, the altercation in reference to some candy.
Just a second. So going too fast for me.
Okay.
What happened between you and your daughter? Was your daughter among those people who were at the crab dinner?
Yes.
So something must have transpired between your daughter, who was how old?
23.
23, and the plaintiff. Maybe they texted each other. Is that what happened?
She called me.
She called you from your house?
She'd already left my house at that time.
So the dinner was over, but he was still there?
Correct.
Is your niece here?
No, she isn't.
Okay. And you had a conversation with your niece?
Yes.
And then you called him?
Correct.
What did you call him to talk to him about?
The altercation between him and my niece.
Well, it's reference to the candy. Her friend held up some candy, and I said, I'm not touching it. That's a setup. So by this time, my daughter, she pretty much started laughing real hard. So I asked her, I said, why you laugh like that? Do you know about this candy? She said, yeah, you ate all the CJ Halloween candy. I said, so do you believe that? So she would never answer me. She would never answer me. I said, do you believe it? She said, it's not that serious. I said, well, your aunt thinks that it's that serious. I'm asking you a question. So she got mad. She was already frustrated because my grandbaby was crying, and she was texting back and forth. And something else inspired her to, to come at me the way she did. So by this time, I said, come on, let's go, let's go. She grabbed the baby and was ready to leave. And so my son and then I stood up, and I told her, come on, get out of my sister's house. Come on, right now.
So you threw her out of the house?
No, she was already leaving. I didn't
know,
throw.
but you said, come on, get out of the house right now. Okay, so she was upset. She called her aunt.
Yes.
Okay. Now what was a nice dinner that you were hosting, a crab dinner, all of a sudden became not a nice thing anymore.
Correct.
About this stupid Halloween candy. Then it is your claim that after you had this argument with your brother on the phone, he vandalized your house.
That's correct.
Did you see him do it?
No.
No. Do you have a witness that saw him do it?
Yes.
Who was that witness?
Diana Kana.
Were you there that evening with him?
Yes, ma'am. Richard got the water out the thing, put it into the TV, hit the TV, and went in the room also with the water. But I didn't go in the bedroom. I sat on the couch.
What water?
A pitcher of water.
What did he do with the pitcher of water?
Poured in the TV.
Poured it in the TV?
Yes.
In the front, back?
The back of the TV.
Did you say anything to him?
No.
Why?
Because he was already enraged and had anger, was fussing and stuff, so I didn't say nothing.
Did you leave the house?
No, because he was my ride.
So you rode home with him?
I actually didn't go home until after he flattened her tires.
After he what?
Had flattened her tires after that.
Flattened her tires?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't go home with him?
After he flattened the tires, then I went home. He took me home.
Explain to me what you saw him do to the tires.
He got out of the car, took the knife and poked the tires. Flat 3 tires.
Her tires?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask him why?
He said because she had sent him a text. They were texting back and forth. I guess whatever she said on the other end of the text messages had him highly upset, and he was enraged, so he spazzed out.
Do you have those text messages?
No. I deleted everything, all the communication between him and I out of the phone.
What did you find when you got home?
I got home maybe 20 minutes after my phone conversation with him. I found that my front door was left open, propped open with the chair. The TV in the living room was cracked, and you can hear and see the water dripping from it. The TV in my bedroom was knocked off the stand, and water was poured into that as well. And I went to leave my house that I noticed that the tires were slashed.
Can I see the police report?
Yes. Now, the police report doesn't... oh, I'm sorry.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
John, when I left the house, Diana was still in the house. When I left, she didn't leave with me. I left by myself, and once I got off the phone with her, I just left. I was so mad and upset because she was intoxicated. She's a belligerent, so I just left. I was very upset, and I left. I never did none of these things that she's saying that I did. I left out of the house. And then as far as tires, I never knew. A friend of mine called me and asked me about this situation. I never knew that damages and stuff was done at her house.
So that's
she never called me and said anything about no damages or nothing. This is an ex-friend of mine, and they done linked up to be best friends, and I guess they're against me.
Listen, sir, on the 18th of December, you had a furious argument with your daughter, and it was all about plaintiff's son's Halloween candy. Whatever frustrations you had at that time are consistent with the vandalism that happened in her house on that night, because this report was taken that same day. So what you're suggesting is that some elf destroyed the 2 televisions and flattened the tires. That's what you're suggesting. Somebody else did it.
I don't know who did it, but Deanna was still left at the apartment. She could tell you better. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I was gone.
Anything else? Anything else? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're finished.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Somebody else vandalized. She lived in one of the
Extremely frustrating.
dangerous neighborhoods in D.C. Anybody could have done that.
Because that's my brother.
She already stated that I left the door open, which is true.
Shocked.
Because I was upset with her, but I didn't vandalize it.
A war zone.
But from my understanding, she don't want one with me, but I want one with her.
I understand.
Want her to know I love her.
I'm not sure right now.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mitchell versus Lawson. Step forward.
Nathan Mitchell is suing his former friend, Matthew Lawson, for stealing his cat and giving it away.
Mr. Mitchell, it is your claim that the defendant gave away your cat. You want to be compensated for that, along with a lot of other things. You know the defendant because you both are truck drivers, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You drive for the same company?
Not anymore.
Did you at the time that you made this arrangement with him to watch your cat?
No.
So you became friends at a company and then you moved on. Who left the company?
Matthew.
Okay. There came a time that you wanted to go to visit your fiancé. You were going to the Philippines. When?
April 10 to May 1st.
And you needed someone to watch your cat for those 20 days.
Yes, ma'am.
You originally hired somebody, according to what I read, but that person backed out. At the last minute, you needed somebody to take care of the cat, and you contacted Mr. Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you contact Mr. Lawson?
April 8, 2016.
And he agreed to take the cat.
Yes, ma'am.
And you agreed to pick up the cat on May 1st or May 2nd when you returned.
No, we made an agreement for him to bring me my cat.
Or to bring you your cat. On what date?
The agreement was May 7th.
Well, that's much after you returned. Why May 7th?
May 7th was because I'm a truck driver. I just came back from the Philippines, and I didn't have a truck at the time, and my cat was traveling with me over the road. So Matthew and I, we were in communication the whole week.
Just a second. No. You were going away from the 10th to May 1st.
Right.
According to your complaint, that's what this whole issue is about. According to the complaint, you paid him $200 to watch your cat while you were in the Philippines.
Right.
But you came back from the Philippines on May 1st.
May 2nd, I came back.
No, you were going, you said, from April 10th to May 1st.
Okay, I'm sorry. May 1st is when I landed at Tom Bradley International Airport. I missed my flight, and I had a next flight the next day.
Okay, so you missed,
Phoenix,
just a
Arizona.
second.
Yes.
So you missed your flight.
Yes.
And came back the 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were coming back on the 2nd.
No.
Why not?
Because my phone died in the flight, and I didn't have a charger at the time. So when I came back to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, they have a cell phone port where you can actually charge your phone up. And that's when Matthew and I started our conversation.
On the 2nd?
Yes.
And do you recall what that conversation was?
Yes, I do have the chat logs.
Go ahead. Tell me what you said to him and what he said to you.
Our conversation was he welcomed me back to the United States from the Philippines. That whole entire week, we were making...
Not the whole entire week.
Okay.
All I want you to tell me is what was the conversation on May 2nd. Now you're home. So I want you to tell me, because he has a different story.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
You're back a day late, and you call him a day late when you get a port to plug in your phone, and you say to him what? And he says to you, he's going to tell me a different story. Whoever I believe wins this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a responsible pet owner, and somebody is doing you a favor. I don't care if you have to walk there. You walk there and get your cat.
Your Honor, he agreed.
Just a second. How did your cat get to his house?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Nathan Mitchell says former friend Matthew A. Matthew has a countersuit for pet supplies and lost wages.
Now, you're back a day late, and you call him a day late when you get a port to plug in your phone, and you say to him what? And he says to you, he's going to tell me a different story. Whoever I believe wins this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
I came back May 2nd.
You don't think of what you're going to say. Just
Okay.
tell me about the conversation.
Our conversation
you called
was,
him.
Our conversation was we were making arrangements to for him to bring me my cat.
You want to tell me what the conversation was? May 2nd.
May 2nd, I did not hear from him, Your Honor. I did not hear from him for about a week and a half after.
He's going to show me a phone chat. Can I see it?
It says, "Hey, brother."
No.
Oh, okay.
I want
Here
to
you
see
go.
it.
I want to see it.
I got the whole thing. You were irresponsible with your animal. You were in a financial bind. You needed to work because you were in the Philippines for a month and you didn't have money. You had a lot of trouble with your phones. The phone charger died at the beginning. Then you got 2 new phones, and the phones didn't have service, so you could only look. Now we're talking about, from May 2nd, we're talking about June 9th. And he texts you early on, and he says to you, "Hey, bro, I'm doing you a favor, but we're expecting a baby, and I have to go out on the road, too. And my fiance can't change the litter box because it's dangerous for pregnant women to be around cat litter." That's what he says to you in here. That doesn't seem to inspire you.
Your Honor, he was supposed to bring me my cat on the day that he agreed.
Well, your cat is with a nice lady now, and the cat went with a nice lady the beginning of June. So I suggest if you want a cat, you get another cat. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
If you're a responsible pet owner and somebody is doing you a favor and says, "I'll watch your cat for 3 weeks," and then you have other life's problems that you're trying to visit on somebody else, whether it's my dispatcher couldn't get me a job coming through your area. I don't care if you have to walk there. You walk there on May 3rd and get your cat.
Your Honor, he agreed.
Just a second. How did your cat get to his house?
He drove from Sierra Vista, where he lives, to pick up my cat.
That was very nice of him, right?
Right. And I did pay him for that. I paid him $200 to...
Just a second. You paid him $200 in cash in April. April to May, May to June. This was June 9th that you had this conversation. So let's say 2 months, 60 days. That's $3 a day. Outrageous. I actually think it's outrageous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This person responded to the ad?
She contacted me through a message.
And did she come over to pick up the cat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know how old the cat was?
I believe she was 2 years old.
Pretty cat?
Oh, she was beautiful, yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Nathan Mitchell says former friend Matthew Lawson stole his cat and gave it away. Matthew has a countersuit for pet supplies and lost wages.
Did your fiance have the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Oh.
That's not a good thing to forget.
What is it? 8/7?
August 7th.
Yeah. Oh.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did the lady come and take the cat?
It was on June 7th, Your Honor.
And how did the lady come to find the cat?
Summer, my fiance ended up finding an ad on Facebook, doing an ad on Facebook. Go ahead.
I went ahead and I posted on Facebook, basically to rehome the animal because I wasn't able to care for her anymore.
This person responded to the ad?
Yes, ma'am.
And she gave you her name, phone number, etc.?
She contacted me through a message. I went ahead and gave her my telephone number, and she called me.
And did she come over to pick up the cat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have her name?
I don't. After the woman came to pick up the animal, since it was basically closed, they removed the ad from Facebook, so I don't have any of her contact information.
Did you know how old the cat was?
I believe she was 2 years old.
Pretty cat?
Oh, she was beautiful, yes.
How long had you had the cat?
7 years now.
Oh.
7 years?
Yes.
Well, now it's got a new home. Got to be more vigilant. Okay, you have a counterclaim. I'm not really going to entertain that counterclaim. For lost wages because you didn't take trips, because he didn't pick up the cat, and you couldn't leave your fiancée in her late stage of pregnancy.
Your Honor,
listen to me, I'm not entertaining that. One of the things that I will tell you, Mr. Lawson, is that you took the cat while your fiancée was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart.
It was a 3-week agreement, Your Honor.
I understand it was a 3-week agreement.
It was in my time frame to be home. I didn't expect to have it another 5 weeks, Your Honor.
You should have given it away before.
Your Honor, what I am going to ask for is I did 5 to 55 a day.
But you didn't have a contract with him. I can't impose a contract when none existed, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you took the cat while your fiancée was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart.
It was a 3-week agreement, Your Honor.
I understand it was a 3-week agreement.
It was in my time frame to be home. I didn't expect to have it another 5 weeks, Your Honor. And what I did...
You should have given it away before. But you didn't have a contract with him. I can't impose a contract when none existed, sir. Listen, ma'am, this is what you said here. I did you a favor.
Yes, ma'am.
And he took advantage of the favor.
Absolutely.
Okay. Other than the $200, you first took possession of the cat. Did you get any food?
Yes, ma'am.
A case of food?
Case of food, yes, Your Honor.
I just want to know what he gave you with the cat.
He gave me a small bag of food and a small thing of litter.
1 bag of food?
Yes, ma'am.
And 1 bag of litter?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did that last?
A couple weeks.
Do you have bills for the pet supplies that you paid while the cat was in your possession?
Yeah, I did. I don't have copies of that.
Well,
what I did do was screenshotted here the prices on it.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Mitchell.
So,
We're done. Thank you.
Your Honor, one more thing. May I show you?
What?
This is my wages that I've lost.
Forget it.
No.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I messaged him on Facebook, text message calls. He never answered.
He said in the message on Facebook saying that he was going to be there.
He would answer on Facebook once in a blue moon, and then he said, oh, well, my phone don't work.
May 7th at 8 o'clock in the morning to bring me my cat.
You know, I said, well, why couldn't you message me on Facebook if you're posting all day, every day?
I stayed, you know, for 2 hours.
2 days later, he said, hey, I got a car rental.
The whole purpose for this was because he never showed up.
I'm on my way to get it. So I got rid of it 2 days ago. We had an agreement.
It's really heartbreaking for me because, you know, I rescued that cat from a home who was being...
When I told him I got rid of the cat, I gave him a set time, mid-May, hey.
You know, the cat was being tormented, you know, and, you know, but that cat was my life, so.
If you don't come get it by beginning of June, I'm getting rid of it.
Ever since, you know, I lost her, you know, I've been, you know, into shock.
If you love your cat, I mean, it was something you had to make time for.
You know, it's really shocking because, you know, when we first met, we were really, you know, we connected, you know, and then, you know, 6 months later, you know,
You got an $18,000 check.
Yes.
Tell me what you did with it.
This mom couldn't trust herself.
I called my daughter and said, I received this check. Please come and take it from me.
Why?
Because I have a history of alcoholism.
Now she regrets trusting her daughter.
Most of the time she wasn't sober. She told me, you can use as much as you need for the wedding. You do not need to worry about paying me back.
That is a lie.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Penny Webb is suing her daughter, 23-year-old Shelby Webb, for stealing $10,000 from her.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 422 on the calendar, the matter of Webb versus Webb.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Webb, this is your daughter. Is your claim she stole $10,000 from you?
That's correct.
I'm listening.
Back in October of 2015, I received a disability settlement in the amount of $18,000. I have the copy of the check right here.
Ability.
I have COPD and asthma.
What kind of work did you do prior to 2015? And for whom did you work?
I worked for Great Lakes Management. I managed commercial real estate.
For how long? From when to when?
Wow, it's many years ago, Your Honor.
Well, I want to know what you did just prior to 2015.
Basically, I did nothing. I have no employment from 2000.
Who supported you?
The county.
So you were on welfare?
Yes.
What prompted you to go off welfare and on disability? Whose suggestion was that?
Mine. I couldn't physically do a job.
Well, you hadn't been working before. Do you understand what my question is to you? What prompted you to move from welfare to disability?
Because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't
You weren't
breathe.
doing anything. No, you're not following my question.
No, I'm not.
You weren't working before.
No, I wasn't.
And you were receiving welfare. Then you went and applied for disability. And initially, you were clearly turned down for your disability.
Everyone is, yes.
No, that's not true. I know that factually. Not everyone is turned down, but you were turned down.
Yes.
And then you hired a lawyer.
Yes.
And you appealed that determination.
Yes.
And when they appealed that determination, an administrative law judge with the Social Security Administration issued an award in your judgment, and you got that. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
My question to you is, what prompted you to go off welfare and seek disability instead? Did a lawyer suggest it to you? Did you watch an ad on television?
No, I just decided myself.
Well, how many
I didn't
years?
want to be on welfare anymore.
Well, what do you think this
Disability is not welfare.
Okay. It is if you don't work.
I
if
worked
you don't have
all
a
my
work.
life.
Okay. All right, let's go. So you got $18,000. You got an $18,000 check.
Yes.
And at the time, you got an $18,000 check. Tell me what you did with it.
Well, I called my daughter and said, I want you to come and take the check. I received this check. Please come and take it from me because I don't trust myself.
Why?
Because I had poor choices prior to this.
Now, you have to explain that to me. Why would a mature woman whose only problem is that they have COPD and asthma let her child take charge of $18,000 rather than putting it in a bank and monitoring it yourself?
Because I have a history of alcoholism.
Since when?
Since all my life.
That was in 2015. From 2015 until June of 2016, were you in rehab?
I was in rehab the whole month of May in 2000.
January, February, March, and April.
I was not.
Was not. In 2015, after you received the check, were you in rehab?
No.
So from October of 2015 until May of 2016, you were not in rehab.
I was in rehab for 28 days of May in the 2016.
Prior to that, when were you in rehab?
On and off every year I was in rehab. I've been trying to stop drinking for many years.
So when you say you were in rehab, was this a private rehab facility or was it paid for by...
It was paid for by the county.
By the county. That was in May. It was paid for by the county.
That's correct.
Even though you had all this money.
That's correct.
So if you had had this money in the bank, would the county still pay your rehab?
Well, yeah, because the money in the bank is for my retirement.
The money in the bank is to take care of you, not for your retirement. The $18,000 was to pay you back for the months that you had been denied disability while your appeal was pending. It's not your retirement. So based upon what I read in your complaint, so now we're understanding who we are talking to. So we're understanding that I understand you and you understand that I understand you. So you took this, according to your complaint, with $10,000 of the money, and you gave the money order to your daughter to hold for you. You didn't put it in a bank.
That's not correct.
Well, okay, just a second. Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Cashier's check.
She was supposed to put $5,000 of that $10,000 into a CD savings, and that never happened.
I got a $10,000 cashier's check made in Shelby's name. She was supposed to keep it in her safe until we could decide what to do with it. That's what you wrote here.
And we made a decision.
That's what you
Yes.
Right. We opened up a joint checking account and savings account with the remaining $8,000. That's what you wrote in here. So she was supposed to take the cashier's check for $10,000 and put it away so that nobody saw it. And then, well, you could have given it to her. You didn't need a cashier's check. You could have given it to her. What was the difference between giving her a cashier's check and letting her put the money in the bank?
She was told to put $5,000 into an account. I have an agreement that is unsigned that Shelby wrote. These were our wishes. Together we agreed upon this. She did not follow any of these wishes. Now, unfortunately, the $5,000 was supposed to be put into CD savings. The other $5,000 was to be put into a savings account or a savings in her bank at home. And of the $18,000, I gave her $4,000 for her wedding. That was in June. I asked her if she has to pay it back. She's not paid it back, and she took all of it, because we wouldn't be here in court today if she hadn't taken it all.
You get a check every month?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
For how much?
$1,186.
And who do you live with?
I live alone.
Who is that?
That is my very best friend.
Where does he live?
He lives in the same building.
So the complaint is wrong?
Yes.
I mean, your complaint. Your deputy.
No, my complaint doesn't read that way that I saw.
Just a second. Could you show this to her, please? That's her signature.
Yeah, but of that $8,000, $4,000 went to her wedding.
And?
Well, that's what I'm trying to explain. I did sign this, and it is right. However, there should be more explanation, and there should have been further explanation on my part.
Prior to May of 2016, when you went into rehab, I assume you were drinking.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
You were drinking sufficiently so that you went into rehab, right?
They did an intervention, and I was forced into it. I agreed to it.
Who did an intervention?
Shelby.
Is that right?
Yes, my family and I did.
So I would assume that the situation was difficult.
Yeah, it was very challenging.
Who took care of all of your bills prior to you going into rehab?
In the beginning, Shelby took care of my bills, but she paid them all late. So I took the bill paying.
Did you take your mother's money?
No.
Did she give you a cashier's check?
Yeah, I have it right here. She was in the bank. She gave it to me. I held on to it for several months until we were supposed to decide what we were going to do. We mulled around lots of ideas. I never committed to anything because most of the time she wasn't sober. And then standing in her rehab in Scandia, Minnesota, sober as a dog, I hope, she told me, you can use as much as you need for the wedding. You do not need to worry about paying me back.
Great.
That is a lie.
Dismissed. We're done.
That is a lie.
We're done.
Judge, I do have a counterclaim.
And that's done, too.
Okay.
All right, so excused. You may step out. Back to your right, please.
You know, I just think it's sad that my mom finally did something motherly for me after all her years of alcoholism.
Extremely difficult.
And she had to, you know, go and counteract it like this.
Because it's my money. And it's supposed to be in my bank, not hers.
Well, I ended communication with her because she began drinking again.
For her to apologize. That's all I really want.
I think that she's upset about that. You know, I would be too, but life is life.
I don't give a crap about the money.
I've been asking myself that for 23 years.
I hope that someday she can see her error of her way.
Why I have to be her parent and why she can't be an adult and be mine.
She's never, no,
I have very little trust in almost everyone I meet.
It's broken it up quite a bit.
Stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid to.
My heart is very heavy for her.
Do what's right and know that you're not wrong and you don't have to be their parent.
I hope it'll work out. That's all I can say.
It's time to go separate ways.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Tully.
Christina Lewis is suing her daughter's former friend, 19-year-old Irene Tully, for money she loaned her while on vacation in Hawaii.
How old are you, Miss Tully?
19.
Do you work or go to school?
Both.
Where do you go to school?
Mesa Community College.
Full-time?
Part-time.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work at Starbucks.
Do you live at home or you have?
At home, yes.
And Miss Lewis, you have a daughter, and your daughter and Miss Tully were friends.
Yes, ma'am.
And they had been friends for a long time.
Couple of years.
And she had accompanied you on family vacations before?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
This would have been the fourth, so 3 prior to this trip.
And she always paid for her own airfare?
When we flew, correct. Minus one time, I did pay for it one time.
When did you pay for that?
I believe it was a trip to New York.
From where?
Chandler, Arizona. But we fly out of Phoenix Sky
So
Harbor.
it was a long flight.
Yes, ma'am.
Where else did you go with Miss Tully?
California, Your Honor, twice. Huntington Beach at a condo that I rented.
She paid her own airfare?
There was no airfare, we drove. And I did pay for the gas.
Yes, you have other children other than this daughter?
I do, I have a son.
And did he accompany you on the trip?
He did.
Ever have any difficulty with her before, with expense money, anything else that would have given you cause to pause about inviting her again?
No.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your daughter and Miss Tully had a fight. What was the argument about?
I did not want to be friends with her daughter anymore.
That must have been after something happened.
I just decided that I didn't want to be friends with her.
What happened after you came back from Hawaii?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Christina Lewis says her daughter's former friend, Irene Tully, owes for money loaned while on vacation.
Now, had there been any difficulty with her before, with expense money, anything else that would have given you cause to pause about inviting her again?
No.
And this case is about a trip that you all took, a family trip that you took to Hawaii. And Miss Tully was invited to go along. The arrangement was, according to you, that she would take care of her own airfare, which she did, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you book the tickets?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
And she gave you money in cash to cover her ticket?
Yes. Her mother and father did.
You rented a hotel while you were in Hawaii?
Condominium.
A condo. How many bedrooms?
One.
And where did Miss Tully and your daughter sleep?
On the pull-out couch.
So they slept together. So
Yes.
she didn't have her own room, so she...
As well as another friend.
So there was no additional expense?
Correct.
With that. And food, how was that covered?
She was supposed to cover her own food.
Okay. And you brought money with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much money did you bring?
About $300.
How long were you going to be away for?
I believe it was 7 days, but we got stuck for an extra day, I believe.
Got stuck because of air?
Yeah, there was something with the weather flying out of Los Angeles, so we couldn't fly out from Hawaii to Los Angeles to get home.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor. The trip was a 10-day trip. The 22nd through the 1st, and we did get stuck for 2 extra days, about a day and a half, so it became an 11-and-a-half-day trip.
Now, this lawsuit is all about the fact that your daughter and Miss Tully had a fight, an argument, kids falling out. When did you have that argument?
I believe it was in September.
September of last year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when was the trip to Hawaii? In what month?
June.
When did it end?
July.
What was the argument about?
I did not want to be friends with
Why?
her daughter anymore.
Why?
Because I did not like the way that I was treated around them.
Like what? What do you mean?
There were just comments that were, and the money that my mother earned, and I just did not want to be a part of it anymore.
And you told, what's Miss Lewis's daughter's name?
Bree.
Where did you have this discussion with her that you didn't want to be friends anymore?
I did not have a discussion with her. I unfollowed her on a social media.
That must have been after something happened, Miss Tully.
I just decided that I didn't want to be friends with her. She went away to college, and I stayed home for college. We didn't have any contact. We didn't talk.
What happened after you came back from Hawaii?
We talked maybe once or twice because I went out of town with my grandparents and stayed with them for about 3 or 4 weeks and then returned home for school.
During that 3 or 4 week period, did either Miss Lewis or Bree contact you about any money that you owed them?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Irene contacted me because we had already made a discussion about the money and her paying me back.
Was that in a phone conversation?
A text conversation, correct.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes it easy.
Oh, is that not what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
She told me to. I'm really sorry. I apologize.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Christina Lewis says her daughter's former friend, Irene Tully, owes for money loaned while on vacation.
Now,
what? It's because I went out of town with my grandparents and stayed with them for about 3 or 4 weeks and then returned home for school.
During that 3 or 4 week period, did either Miss Lewis or Bree contact you about any money that you owed them?
No, Your Honor.
On what date did you unfriend her daughter?
I do not remember the exact date.
You remember the month?
I believe it was September. It could have been October, though. I'm not 100% sure, though.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was in September. September 28th, I believe.
So now I'd like you to tell me, Miss Lewis, what you're suing her for is $375 because you say you went to some events while you were in Hawaii that you purchased tickets for, dolphin shows or whatever else you paid for, and she was supposed to pay you back. I want you to show me when the first time was that you requested the return of this money.
I did not request the return of the money first. Irene contacted me because we had already made a discussion about the money and her paying me back, and she did let me know that she was going to Rhode Island with her family, so she wouldn't be able to start working again until she got home. Therefore, she couldn't start making payments until she was working, and I understood that.
Was that in a phone conversation?
A text conversation, correct.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes it easy.
Oh, is that not what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
She told me to. I'm really sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Well, you clearly knew before you went to Rhode Island that you owed her some money, because that's what it says here.
Okay, yeah, but I didn't. Okay. So we were supposed to go to Hawaii, and I was told.
Listen to me.
Okay.
You clearly knew based on this text, Hey, I'm heading home for Rhode Island today, so can you send me what I owe you from Hawaii? That's what you wrote to her on Sunday, July 31st.
Okay.
So you clearly knew that you owed her some money. And at some point, she responds on August 10th, I added it together and it was $375. And then you ask her for a breakdown. She gave you a breakdown. And some of it looks legitimate, and some of it I can see why you might question.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, did you go to a snorkel trip in a luau?
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
so that's $125. You don't dispute that. She paid for it, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you did go to see the sea lions?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she paid for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What's a $25 baggage fee?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I paid for my baggage.
Okay. What's the $25 baggage fee?
Ma'am, she paid for her baggage one way, not the other way. She couldn't afford it, so she asked me if I'd add it to her total, and I agreed to.
Do you recall that?
I do not, Your Honor.
Well, she does.
Okay.
And what is $25 yard house? What is that?
She was supposed to pay for her own food at meals out. I did try to make it easier on her because she was the only one that was struggling financially, so I went ahead and bought a lot of groceries at the grocery store and cooked many meals in the condo to save money.
So what is yard house?
It's a restaurant.
Do you remember the yard house?
Yes, Your Honor. I remember going to dinner there.
Okay. And did the plaintiff pay for that dinner?
Yes, Your Honor, but my meal was not $25.
I don't know what it was. $250. Okay, so you acknowledge that there were certain expenses that you had, and I've taken some off that I actually can't justify. But that's still $250.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay?
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Here's our excuse, man. Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
No, I don't deny the fact that she paid for things. I just deny the fact that she asked for me to pay them back.
She's an emotional young lady. She cried quite a few times, complained about her finances.
I'm so thankful that I got to go and that my parents...
You don't get many vacations like this.
But I'm not happy that I went with them.
And I love doing for my family, so we were happy to do it.
She's just a really bad person, and she says things to people that don't need to be said to them.
I mean, she thinks I'm a terrible friend, but terrible friends don't bring you to Hawaii, so...
No, I did not want to be friends with her anymore.
Absolutely not.
I'm just very happy that it's over with and that I'll never have to see either of them again.
I hope that Irene starts to learn to be responsible and pay debts that she owes.
I was 17. I really wanted to see my mother, and I wanted to be with her. And
Rebuilding a relationship with mom had a downside.
You allege that your identity was taken.
Now, a daughter is forced to rebuild her life.
How many counts of identity theft were you charged with?
I don't know, like 3.
Were you incarcerated at any time?
Yes.
I just wanted to be with my mom.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
23-year-old LaChapelle Copes is suing her mother, Jesanita Copes, for stealing her identity.
Order. All rise. Copes versus Copes. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
This is your mom.
Yes.
And it is your claim that as a result of her fraudulently using your identity, she's put you in substantial debt, your credit is ruined, and you want her to be responsible for that. That's what the case is about. How old are you, Miss Copes?
I'm 23.
Tell me what you do.
I'm a nanny.
Who do you live with?
I live with my stepmother.
How long have you lived with her?
Off and on. She basically raised me my whole life. I moved back with her when I was 20 years old.
Who had you lived with before you were 20?
My grandmother. And then when I was 17, I was living with my mother.
So until you were 17, you lived with your grandmother?
No. Before that, I was with my stepmom. My stepmom raised me, but I lived with my grandma for a year.
How long in total? You're 23 years old now. During what period of time, say after you were 10, did you live with your mother?
No.
You lived with her for a short time when you were 17?
Yes.
For how long?
For a year. I went to school in Sacramento with her.
What happened when you were 17?
So I moved in with my mother. We were currently homeless. But
who was homeless?
Me and my mother. We were staying at her friend's house because me and my dad had got into an altercation.
You and your father?
And, you know, I was 17. I really wanted to see my mother, and I wanted to be with her. And, yeah.
Was it during that time that you allege that your identity was taken when you were 17? And Ms. Copes, you've been convicted of fraud and identity theft, is that right?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
When?
2 years ago.
How many counts of identity theft were you charged with?
I don't know, like 3.
Were you incarcerated at any time?
Yes.
For how long?
2.
2 what?
Years.
And that was 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes.
Now, did you ever open any lines of credit or open any credit cards using your daughter's name?
No.
Did you ever sign a lease, a phone plan, anything using your daughter's name?
No.
Never. Could you show me, please, Ms. Copes, one piece of proof?
I have an eviction notice in my name. Would you like to?
Yeah, I see it, yes.
Sorry. It's a couple papers. And I also have a, sorry.
When's your birthday?
1993.
So in January of that year, you were 17.
Yeah.
And unable to execute a lease.
I'm not sure what that means.
You were unable to sign a lease. This lease, is that when you were living with your mother that 1 year?
Yes, it was.
Based upon that, because she didn't pay rent, they...
For 2 years, for a year, I believe.
They gave her a notice to quit. And is that one of the charges that's against your credit?
Yet, no. And I have, Your Honor, I'm in $10,000 in debt. And
I understand that, but
it's other things. Sorry.
So this, although this is an example of her signing your name and obligating your name and your Social Security number to a lease when you were a minor, which she can't do, what other examples do you have for me? That's enough, by the way, but I'd like to see what other examples you have.
I have bills that she got in my name, like SMUD bills.
What kind of?
SMUD bill. It's like electricity bill.
Can I see that? Is that for this apartment?
Yeah, but I don't believe this is recently. Because I went to get a restraining order for a kick-out notice because she had my identification and I need to get evidence. And this is the only thing I found was a SMUD bill in my name. And I called them and they said that
What other proof do you have for me?
And they
this
said
is 2012.
And they said that she called in and gave them my social, and they just turned on SMUD.
Can I see the fallout? Yes.
Mm-hmm. This one's probably clearer. I have several of them. Let me give you this one too.
Are you going to school? Do you work?
I'm trying to go back to school right now. I'm a nanny. I nanny for 2 kids.
How long have you worked for that same family?
For a year now.
How much do you earn?
$400 a week.
And you're living with your stepmother?
Yes.
Do you pay her any rent?
Yes, I do.
How much do you pay her?
Right now I'm on Section 8, so I pay her $100, and that's it.
$100 a?
$100 a month, and then they pay the rest for me.
Is she in your apartment or you're in her apartment?
I'm in her house.
And Section 8 pays her rent?
Yeah.
Well, how much do they pay for you?
They pay $800 because the cost of living out there is like $1,300 for a 1-bedroom. And so I was accepted for a housing voucher. And so I was looking for a place. I couldn't find a place. And my stepmother, she just welcomed me in and said that we can go through the process
I would
together.
too. She gets an additional $900 a month, which she used to give you for free, which is to live with her, right?
Yeah. But I was living with my grandmother when I got done with living with
I understand that. I'm just trying to see whether it's very nice. She raised you. You lived with her and your father.
No, my dad,
Well, you said you lived with him.
Okay, so it was often, me and my dad had a bad relationship. It was really bad. My stepmom, she took me in. She was like, I'm a woman. I need to take care of her. She's becoming a lady. So she's been taking care of me my whole life. And then she's always told me, like, she always tried to keep me away from my mom because she knew what was going on. But I was so rebellious and I just wanted to be with my mom. But her and my dad are not together. She just took me in as a daughter.
What is this auto sales?
Oh, so that I tried to go get a car because I wanted to do Uber and stuff, and I couldn't get a car.
Because of your credit history?
Yeah, at first I thought it was due to me being young, but I really found out that my credit was really messed up when I went to go open a bank account for Chase, and they just closed my account and told me that I couldn't get a bank account with them due to my credit. And so I went on credit report and tried to figure out what's going on, and seeing bunch of these bills. I also called them because they've been building up to the point that the credit billers collected it.
Was any of this debt reduced to judgment, do you know?
Not sure.
You don't know if it was reduced to your credit?
No.
I mean, you're young.
I don't know I really don't know none of this stuff. I just started realizing that credit is your life.
It is. Unless you'd be lucky enough to be able to pay for everything in cash, which there are very few people who are able to do that. When you get paid by your employer now, $400 a week, what do you do with it?
I save it. I put it in because I have a prepaid card, so I go and I just put it in my prepaid card.
Is that because they refuse to open an account for you? Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is one of those, you had me at hello when your mother testified that she never signed anything on your behalf when you were underage. That's a lie. You signed the lease for her when she was underage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. We're done here.
Thank you.
Why is our excused? You may step out.
I supported her.
She needs to admit to her wrongs.
I let her move in with me.
I'm tired. I just want to move on with my life.
She leaves me alone about her credit and everything else.
I just hope that she just start doing right and stop doing what she's doing and just be the mother that she's supposed to be.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Snyder versus Haga. Step forward.
20-year-old Heather Snyder is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Joshua Haga, for an unpaid...
To start with you, sir, okay? You and Miss Snyder were dating.
Yes.
You were having some trouble with a car, and you needed a loan.
No, I
for
never...
Shh. You didn't have a car.
Correct.
And you needed a car.
Correct.
And you had that discussion with the plaintiff, the fact that you needed a car because you were dating.
Correct.
You needed a car to get to work, take care of your daily business, make a living.
Correct.
All true. Now, when you had that conversation, and she did, right?
Correct.
What credit card did she have access to? Do you know?
It was her bank card.
Okay. So you were dating sufficiently to know that she had money on a bank card that she could take a loan out on.
I don't know anything about a loan.
No, that she could take, not you. We're not talking about you. Pay careful attention. Put on your listening ears.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you take out a loan?
No.
Who do you pay for the car?
The dealership.
That's a car loan.
But not like me going through my bank. I didn't get a loan through my bank.
I don't care if you got a loan through Pluto.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Heather Snyder says ex-boyfriend Joshua Haga owes for a loan to buy a car.
Yeah, she had a bank card that to pay it because you get a bill at the end of that, unless it's a savings account or a checking account where you have money.
Correct.
And you were aware of the fact, sir, that the money that she was giving you was coming from money off this card that had a monthly payment. I'm looking at your answer, so just remember, you swore to an answer.
Correct.
Which I will read to you if you have had a lapse in memory. You knew there was a payment attached every month for the money that she gave you.
No. When my car broke down, I was frustrated, you know, and we had talked to her.
I don't care if you were frustrated or not. Are you telling me that...
She had offered to help me with the car, to get a new car.
Listen to me carefully. What payments were you talking about? Did you buy a new car?
Payments for the car itself to the dealership. Okay. So payments I was making to the car. When I had got a car, I was making payments for that. I wasn't making payments for anything else.
I know you weren't. What I'm asking you is the money that she gave you, she gave you for what?
For a car payment, for the down payment on a car.
Down payment on a car. And what kind of a car did you buy?
It was a 2015 Volkswagen.
How much was it?
The car itself was about $20,000.
And did you take out a...
kind of dealership, so we went to the dealership, made the down payment, and then they financed through their bank. I didn't take a loan out through my bank.
Who do you pay for the car?
The dealership.
Okay, that's a car loan.
In a way it was, but not like me going through my bank. I didn't get a loan through my bank. And
I don't care if you got a loan through Pluto. If you have a car that you didn't pay for in cash, that you're making installment car payments on, then you're making car loan payments, whether you make it to a bank, whether you make it to Bird, whether you make it to me, whether you make it to a financial institution or a pawn shop. It's a loan that you have to pay back.
Correct.
Are you paying it back?
Not anymore. The car was repoed.
When did you buy it?
It was around, I would say, July, August, somewhere around that time.
And when was it repossessed?
It was repossessed back in December.
Okay, so let's go. So you bought the car July, let's say you bought it in August. Did you make September's payment?
To the dealership, yes.
Yes. October?
To the dealership, yes.
November?
No.
December?
No.
Why not?
I had hit a deer, and under my insurance policy, I didn't have gap insurance. So the deductible was going to be like $500 plus like a $500 car payment plus $200 insurance. I couldn't afford it at the time.
Did you have
about $200 itself?
Just liability or collision?
It was collision, but as far as the policy goes, there was no like accidental, like if I hit a car or something, even if I had the insurance, there was still going to be a $500 deductible on my end.
You had a deductible. You chose a $500 deductible to keep your payments lower.
Correct.
Now, when did you and the plaintiff break up?
It was around...
Not around.
August, September, more so September.
And you bought the car on what date?
I don't remember the exact date that I bought the car. It was...
Also in the summer.
July 15th, actually.
How much money did Miss Snyder give you as a down payment?
She paid the dealership around $1,800.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was doing electronic repairs at the time.
What are you doing now?
I'm a salesman for DirecTV and AT&T.
You work on salary or commission?
It's hourly and commission.
So you get a check?
Correct.
You want to tell me the circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then another $212 for the insurance. I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Just let's go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Show me where you paid, not her. She put in $1,800. You, but that doesn't come to $2,000.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Heather Snyder says ex-boyfriend Joshua Haga owes for a loan to buy a car.
Okay, you want to tell me the circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then another $212 for the insurance. I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Just let's go. So let me hear about what the circumstances surrounding you paying.
Okay. He actually did have a car. We were driving from his grandmother's house to my house when it broke down. He had a really old car. It was so hard to find the parts that she should have just gotten a new car. So that's why we agreed to help him pay for the car, help pay the down payment.
Who's the we?
We agreed that I would help him. And we had an agreement that he would pay me back.
When?
He would pay me back by the end of the year. It was December 17th would be the last day.
What kind of work do you do?
At the time, I was working at, actually I didn't have a job. I was in between jobs. Now I work at GameStop.
How are you supporting yourself during the summer?
I did just have a job. I was working at a fancy pizza place. That's where I was able to save up all the money. I actually didn't put it on a credit card. I put it on a debit card. So I didn't have any interest on the payments.
So you had enough money in the bank?
I had $2,000 in my savings, and it pretty much all went to him.
And 6 weeks later, you broke up?
Yeah, we broke up end of August.
That's about 6 weeks?
Yes.
5, 6 weeks. Did you and the defendant ever live together?
No.
You always maintained your own place?
Yes.
What were the circumstances surrounding you breaking up with each other?
He started getting kind of possessive. My sister was in the car with me once when he would call me if I didn't text him back almost immediately. He didn't like when I went out with my friends. It just got a little bit frustrating, so I decided to end it.
Is that what happened?
I wouldn't put it more so possessive. I mean, she was going out to clubs, you know, having guys over at the clubs with her and her sisters, and I was uncomfortable with it. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I just wasn't comfortable with things that she was doing.
How much were your car payments?
The car payments were $480 a month, and then for the first 2 months, because of the difference in the down payment that she made wasn't the whole thing towards the down payment, so I paid that out of pocket for the first 2 months.
How much?
It was about $680 for the first 2 months, and then after that it was $480.
I want to know how much money
For the car payment itself, $480.
No, I want to know how much money you put into the car. Show me where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I want to know how much money you put into the car before it was repossessed.
I would say a little over $2,000.
Show me where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
Show me where you put in $2,000. That would have meant about 4 car payments. What is this?
It's the balance on my credit for the car itself.
I just want to see how much you paid. Tell me how much you paid on the car. I see what this says. Balance, highest balance, and the account.
That's what I have paid so far for the car.
You. I'm not talking about her payment of
No,
$1,800.
that's my payment towards the...
Show me where you paid, not her. The highest balance on this car was $15,000. She put in $1,800, September and October. You already told me you only paid September and October. That doesn't come to $2,000.
I don't have anything that I've paid. I mean, I have how much the monthly payment for the car is, if you wanted to see that.
You owe $1,900, $1,937, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
There was no agreement for me to pay the money back.
I'm happy the way it worked out. I got my money.
I don't feel I was being possessive under the circumstances of what she was doing.
I know he says he wasn't, but he was. It was just a deal breaker for me.
I don't want any hard feelings.
It was pretty frustrating that I helped him out in his time of need, and he really just blocked me out.
In Judge Judy's terms, I see it differently, but, you know, she has the best judgment.
No good deed goes unpunished.
I had nothing else to do with him not going home.
A grandma inserts herself in a custody battle.
She not only went to school and picked him up, she signed him out early.
You lied to me once. Don't do it again.
And a mother deals with the aftermath.
What happened to his father's?
When I picked him up, he was high as a kite.
Your son?
Yes. And his father couldn't even look us straight in the eye and talk to us. He was so messed up.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Deborah Hartzell is suing Sean Hansel and his ex-wife, Mandy, for an unpaid loan.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 415 on the calendar, the matter of Hartzell versus Hansel.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Hansel used to be your daughter-in-law. She was married to your son. They have 2 children.
Yes.
They've been divorced since when? What year?
2005.
And since 2005, the 2 children, 2 boys, correct? Mm-hmm. Have lived with you?
Yes.
Until recently?
They both still reside with me.
They are back with you, both?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But they both resided with you, 2005, and I assume your son was under a support order?
Yes.
What kind of work does he do?
He's a self-employed tree trimmer.
He has his own company?
Yes.
Does he have any employees?
1.
Is he remarried?
No.
Okay. This gentleman also at one time, before or after, was married to Miss Hansel. You and Miss Hansel were divorced.
Correct.
And you have no children together?
We do.
How many?
We have
How old are the 2 children that you have?
10 and 8.
So that was after the divorce?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. At some point, according to your complaint, Mr. Hansel ran into some difficulty with his mortgage. And you called Mrs. Hartzell.
No.
Did you contact her?
I contacted her son.
You contacted her son.
Correct.
At this point, how far behind in his child support is he for the 2 boys?
$7,126.
Does he pay anything?
She does.
He doesn't pay anything.
The way he explained it to me, Your Honor, is that she takes care of his
you
child
can't.
support.
So far, he's $7,000 in arrears. And how much is the support order?
$333.
A week, a month?
A month, I'm sorry.
When was the last time you received a support payment from the plaintiff's son?
In December.
Prior to that?
October.
What happened to November?
That's when this money came about. I had contacted her son in regards to the child support. I was in need of the money right then, and I had asked him if child support payment had been made yet, and that's when he had told me that...
No, just a second.
I'm sorry.
Can't tell me what he told you.
Okay. At that point, I was informed that...
No, you can't say
Okay.
informed. You told him...
I told him
You told him that you were in need of money and he owed you money.
Correct.
Well, he owed his children money, but
Correct.
you were taking care of his $2 a month. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was the next thing that happened?
I met with him.
And?
He gave me $400. He made a phone call, had left her a message saying, if you haven't mailed child support yet, don't, because Sean needs the money right now. I'm giving it to him.
$400.
Correct. And at that point, he had told me he was finishing up...
Don't tell me what he told you.
Okay, at that point, he was finishing up a tree job, and I was supposed to get $1,100 within 2 days of that.
What happened next?
He didn't get the money, and at that point, I was told to contact his mother.
Did you contact his mother?
Yes, I did.
Now I want you to tell me the conversation that you had with Miss Hartzell, and tell me when that conversation took place.
Okay. It would have been one of the last days in October or the first day in November.
Did you call her or did she call you?
I believe she contacted Mandy, and then I called her.
And I would like you to tell me what you said to her and what she said to you.
I told her at that point that I had 2 days to come up with just under $1,100 to make sure I could keep the home. She told me to figure out exactly what I needed and to let her know we would go from there. Within a day or so of the first conversation, we came up with it was just under $1,100. So she was going to give me $1,100. We were on our way to a replacement with a phone call from the person I was buying the home from, telling us that forget about it. If I go to make the deposit, they're not going to accept the money. So when I got there, I explained to her the situation.
Did he tell you that there was a problem with the house?
No.
When you met with him?
Not at that point.
When did he tell you that there was a problem with the house?
2 days later, when I was going to give him the next check and deposit it into the landlord's account at the bank.
How many checks did you give him?
2.
What were the denominations?
The first one was $1,000 and the second one was $1,100 on November 3rd and 5th.
So you gave him the $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And then $1,100 the next day. So it was really $2,100.
Correct.
And did he cash those checks for $2,100?
He cashed the first one. The second one, I actually deposited it into his landlord's account at the landlord's bank.
You mean where you were going to buy?
Correct.
What happened with that money?
It went and paid the house payment, and then the first
Just
house...
a second, it paid a house. Did you move into that house?
We had been in the house already. I had lost my job at the beginning of October.
Just a second. So she lent you in total $2,100.
She didn't lend me anything. This was a child support agreement.
Now I want you to tell me the child support agreement.
Okay.
I want to hear the child support agreement
Okay.
with her.
No problem. We were supposed to take that dollar amount, mail it into the child support office, so her son got credit for making that payment, and it would come off his back child support.
Did you do that?
Tax time isn't here yet.
Just a second. Is that the arrangement you made with her?
For the...
No. Look at me.
Yes.
Is that the arrangement you made with her?
Yes, ma'am. For the $1,100 it was. What happened was the first $1,000 she gave me, like I said, on the day that I showed up, and I told her that I can't make the house payment. They told me it's too late. She gave me the $1,000 because I would need the money to move in somewhere else anyway. Okay? Later that day, the landlord called me and said, hey, if you can get the money in today, we'll go ahead and do that. At that point, I'd already deposited the check. That's when I contacted Debbie, and I said, hey, if you can put the money into their account to cover the house payment, when this check clears, I'll give you that part back.
Did you give it back to her?
I did not, because
Why?
with a conversation she had had with Mandy to go ahead and use the other $1,000 towards paying other bills to get it caught up, because it was going to be a month before I saw a paycheck. And that total amount of $2,100 was going to be mailed into child support to come off the $7,100 owed.
He'll pay his own child support. You pay her back her money. How old is your son?
37.
Time that he was not a deadbeat and took care of his own children. It's time.
He's only in arrears because he was in prison for 5 years.
What is he? Then he should have been paying twice as much.
He pays child support plus only $25 towards arrearage, so it's hard to get it paid down.
You make children, you're supposed to take care of them. And you don't get a break when you're in jail. You're in jail because you did something yourself. It's not as if you got a disease, if you had serious surgery, you couldn't work. You did something wrong. Your children still had to eat, right?
Right.
When he was in jail, did she get any child support at all?
I did help her very much, and I also took the two boys quite often.
Well, that doesn't make any difference. Okay. Something happened recently that sparked something and that I want to go back and address. There came a time when one of your grandsons had a disciplinary incident with his mother and his stepfather. And from what I gather, he used your house as a safe haven. Is that right?
That's not right.
Well, tell me what happened.
He wanted to live with his father, and it was agreed upon by the two of them, supposedly. And on Christmas vacation, he stayed with his father the entire time.
It's good. He can stay with his father for Christmas.
And I had nothing else to do with him not going home.
Who picked him up from school?
He can walk home from school.
No, to your son's house. Who picked him up? Did you ever go to school to pick him up?
No.
Why did you put that in here?
She not only went to school and picked him up, she signed him out early.
She's not even on the list.
We had to go at the end of...
That's very easy for me to find out. Did you go to school to pick up your grandson?
The one day when I signed him out, yes. The day I signed him out before Christmas, or no, after Christmas. After Christmas.
Did he go back to his mother's?
He told me
Just a
his
second.
mother
Did he go back to his mother's?
Yes, I believe so.
As of Friday, he came back
As of
home
last
finally.
Friday. Well, that's January. What happened at his father's?
Went over there, and when I picked him up, he was high as a kite.
Your son?
Yes.
Yep.
And his father couldn't even look us straight in the eye and talk to us. He was so messed up.
Did you ever have a discussion with the defendants with regard to taking the amount of money that you gave them off child support by using their tax returns? So far, you've lied to me once. Don't do it again.
No,
so far, you lied to me once.
Oh,
don't do it again.
We had one conversation, not about the taxes. That was never...
Just a second. I want you to tell me the one conversation that you had with regard to the money and child support.
On the following Monday, after they borrowed the 2 checks from me, through Mandy, who gets the child support, we were to go down to the courthouse, offered to me by her, so that she could have the arrearage reduced in that amount.
Oh, good. Now we're done.
And Monday, she wouldn't answer the phone.
This is it. I am dismissing her case. Do you understand? I expect for you to go down to child support and reduce the child support by $2,100. Do you understand?
I went to do that, and they said with the check not being wrote to me, I can't do it. That's why we agreed that when we got the taxes, we would do it then.
Is that because you at some point were on welfare?
No, I've never been on welfare.
Well, then why can't you do that? It's your money.
The check wasn't in my name to prove that
it doesn't make any
given to me.
difference.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but the way they explained it to us is that to go down and make an agreement like that, they won't accept it unless it actually goes through the child support office. The payment has to go through there.
Yeah.
So we had no problem with when we got our money sending it through.
Fine. So that you would have no problem sending in the child support payments for he's supposed to pay how much money?
He's supposed
to
pay $333 a month.
$333. So for the next 7 months, you pay the child support. Do we have an agreement?
Well, we're a month.
No. Do we have an agreement?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
You claim the shed was damaged and you want $4,000. Are you out of your mind? Do you hear these people? Are you crazy? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah Hartzell says Sean Hansel and ex-wife Mandy Hansel owe for a loan.
For the next 7 months, you pay the child support. Do we have an agreement?
Well, we're a month.
No. Do we have an agreement? Unless you send that money in to be credited to him for the next 7 months, he doesn't owe any child support.
That's fine.
Because you owe her, and that was the agreement.
I understand, yeah.
And that was the agreement.
That's fine.
Perfect. We're done here.
Thank you, Judge.
Parties are excused. May step out.
They are not a part of the children's life, and anytime they are...
That's fair. Works good for me.
You know, his son's doing drugs with my child, and...
That the 2 boys could have a stable home and...
Not a very good environment for any child to be in when they're around them.
Stay in a school for at least 1 year.
It's just that type of family. They're evil and twisted.
I hope for all my grandchildren's and son's sake.
One day my son wakes up and realizes what kind of person his father is.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cruz versus Lathan. Step forward.
Diana Cruz is suing her former neighbor, LaDonna Lathan, for a damaged storage shed and damaged belongings.
Miss Cruz, your mother owned 2 pieces of property. Died. One of the houses was sold to the defendant, the house right next door to where your mother had lived. Did you live with your mother at the end of her life? If the answer is either yes or no. Did you live with your mother for the end of her life?
No.
Well, why don't you just answer me and say correct? I didn't live with my mother.
I didn't live with my mother.
That's the answer. When was the last time you lived in that house?
I moved out in August of 2016.
Where did you live in June of 2016?
I lived in the same town, but I had rented a room from a friend.
Who else lived with her in the house?
It would be myself and my daughter, Natasha.
When?
We lived there with her until she went into the rest home in December of 2014.
So the last time you stayed in the house was in 2014?
No, ma'am. I was in the house until August of 2016.
Well, that's what I'm asking. You said you rented a room someplace.
In August of 2016 is when I moved out of the residence that I used to live with my mother and rented a room. I could no longer stay in the house after my mother had passed away.
Why?
Just memories.
Was the house condemned?
My house...
Just a second. Just answer the question.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I found out that my daughter, who has a drug problem, sold my storage shed to LaDonna for $75. Goes back?
No.
You didn't.
You didn't pay it?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Just a second.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Diana Cruz says former neighbor LaDonna Lathan owes for damage to a storage shed and property damage. LaDonna is countersuing for harassment and costs associated with the shed.
So the last time you stayed in the house was in 2014?
In August of 2016 is when I moved out of the residence that I used to live with my mother and rented a room. I could no longer stay in the house after my mother had passed away.
Why?
Just memories.
Was the house condemned?
My house...
Just a second. Just answer the question.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So the house was condemned?
Yes, ma'am.
By what authority?
The city of Clarksburg.
You have the condemnation notice?
I don't have it with me, ma'am.
Fine. When were you served with a condemnation notice?
October of 2016.
Now, what happens to a condemned house? I know what happens to a condemned house. A condemned house is no longer habitable. The city took over and they take it down.
Yes, the city and I have discussed this. Yes.
Fine. So that's what this case is about, this nonsense. You moved out of the house because it was condemned.
No,
because it was no longer habitable. Yes, it habitable in August.
No,
and the next door neighbor, is this your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
The next door neighbor who bought the house, fair and square, had a conversation with your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Month and year did you have the conversation with the daughter that you bought the shed?
December 26, 2016, 25th, on Christmas Day.
Great.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Now I got the dates. Okay.
Yes.
So, hey. Piece of work. Okay, so you were served with a condemnation notice in the house in October.
A different house, ma'am. Not the house she bought.
I'm not talking about the house she bought. I'm talking about the house your mother lived in.
Yes, ma'am.
She had a conversation with your daughter. Nobody denies that. And your daughter sold her a shed for $75 that was on condemned property.
Yes, ma'am.
Daughter sold her an old shed after the property had been condemned.
Yes, ma'am.
You threw a hissy fit and said she had no right to sell that to you. You know she has drug problems, and she had no right to sell you, I want my shed back. And you called the police.
Yes, ma'am.
And so she returned the shed, and you claimed the shed was damaged. And because she took it off the cement block where it was, the found damaged, and you want $4,000. Are you out of your mind? Do you hear these people? Are you crazy? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now I'm going to get to a counterclaim, because I'm done with your claim. Your claim is stupid. Counterclaim is that she threw a fit and called the police, and it was embarrassing for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date did she call the police?
December 26, 2016. I called the police. I have the police record.
So you called the police?
Yes.
Tell me why you called the police.
I called the police because I wanted to get to the bottom of the issue. In my mind, I was upset because, you know, she was coming and taking this back after I paid for it, you know. I paid for it, and I was upset that she was taking it back. So I said, let's call the police. I told her and the lady that was there with her, I said, we need to call the police and try to get this sorted out.
According to the plaintiff, Ms. Cruz, in the deposition that she swore to,
Yes, ma'am.
I found out that my daughter, who has a drug problem, sold my storage shed to Ladona for $75. Did you ever get your $75 back?
No.
You didn't.
You didn't pay it.
Yes, I did,
Just
Your Honor.
a second. Just a second. That's what you wrote in here. She sold my storage shed to my daughter for $75. She knew she was buying property that wasn't my daughter's to sell. And Ladona was ordered to give back my shed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Judgment on the counterclaim for $75. You get your money back. Your claim is dismissed. We're done. Goodbye.
Oh, sir, excuse me. Step out. Excuse me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
How can you play on my child? I mean, she has a drug problem.
When she approached me in sound mind. I would never prey on anyone.
Why would somebody play on my child's addiction to try to go to them to sell something that didn't belong to her when she was in withdrawal? She needed the money.
I want to say I'm sorry, you know, that she feels the way she does.
I want an apology to my child. I want an apology to my child. I don't care about me.
If it was my own child, I wouldn't want it to happen to them. But when she sold me the building, she was in sound mind.
Apologize to my child. You don't prey on my child.
But I would never prey on anyone.
Don't do this to my child. She's my child. She's my child.
Defendant.
Her mail-order tropical fish went belly up.
He sent a sick fish, which I have a picture of, with a disease on it.
It infected your entire tank. Many of your fish died.
Within 6 days, I lost 18 fish.
Is his online business tanking?
Over the last at least 10 years, he has been sending out sick fish to hundreds of customers.
Are you prepared to replace the 12 fish?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Tracy Vestal is suing tropical fish distributor Thomas Mador for selling her sick fish and contaminating her tank.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 408 on the calendar in the matter of Vestal versus Mador.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Vestal, what kind of fish tank did you have? Salt water or fresh water?
Fresh water.
How large?
75 gallons.
What kind of fish did you have in it?
Cichlids.
How big are they?
They're various sizes, but our largest ones were about 6 to 7 inches long.
And how long have you had the tank?
16 years.
This is what your lawsuit is about. You ordered some fish, a dozen of them, from the defendant online. He shipped them to you. That's like a baker's dozen, he says. He shipped an extra one, and one of them was dead. DOA, dead on arrival.
Exactly.
According to him, that means you still have the 12 fish that you paid for. You say no, he only sent 12, and one was dead. But that's not the main problem. The main problem is that you claim that he sent sick fish, and as a result, of the door, and you also want to be compensated for contaminating your tank. How long have you been in the business of these exotic fish, Mr. Mador?
I've actually been selling tropical fish for 27 years, and I've been keeping them since I was a child.
27 years, and you do that online?
Correct. We carry over 780 products on our website.
Okay. Do you have a picture of what they look like so that I can see?
Yes, I do. Here's a picture of all the fish that arrived.
I actually have a video of that would maybe help you what they actually look like in full color. Very beautiful, colorful fish.
I'm looking at these, and then I'll look at it.
Sure.
Okay, one was dead. And did you call him and tell him?
Yes, I texted him within the 24 hours of a picture of the dead fish.
Okay, what did he say?
He was going to replace it. We had to spend $35 to ship it to us, so we weren't going to...
May I see the ad that you contract with him, or you...
I have the contract right here if you'd like it, Your
I'd like
Honor.
to take a look at it.
Here's our receipt, along with what the fish look like on his website.
You can see the ad in here.
There was no ad. We found his
It's
website.
a website, and then
Okay, may I see the contract?
and you have
please,
to sign the terms and conditions before checking out. And those are the terms and conditions, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is the contract because in order to ship, you have to agree to the terms and conditions.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you familiarize yourself with the terms and conditions before you came here today?
No, I did not.
Well, you should.
Okay.
I'll allow you to tell me what happened, but it's very clear
that he's not
financially responsible to you.
Okay. Even though he sent a sick fish, which I have a picture of his fish with a disease on it, that if entered into my tank will cause deathly to the whole tank.
Ms. Vestal, when did you tell him? Because a couple of other of his fish died subsequently. Is that right?
I had 9 of his fish die, and he killed 9 of mine.
No, just a second. Subsequently, a couple of his fish died. Within how many days?
Within 6 days, I lost 18 fish.
Okay. So you had to read this and familiarize yourself with the terms and conditions and what he said. What contract that you signed with him? He said, A, he will replace any fish, and he has 100% guarantee for live delivery. He will replace anything that did not arrive live, but you have to pay the shipping. That's what this says here. You agreed to that when you placed the order, and he required proof of the dead fish, which you sent him. If you get an order of fish that you don't approve of, we ask that you not mail them back. That is more stress than necessary for the fish. We request that you keep them. We will credit you the proper amount or type of fish to fulfill our promise to you. No cash refunds. We will only replace your order with healthy fish. One of the things here, I mean, I'll read you all of it. It says that we guarantee that your fish will arrive alive. If not, the first part takes over. And it says, however, when you receive your fish, you are solely responsible for acclimating them to your aquarium. To be safe, we recommend that you quarantine your new fish from your current aquarium for at least 10 days, which you did not do. This will allow your new arrivals to fully build up their immune systems to prevent any health issues. After you receive your fish, you acknowledge that you take full responsibility for their care and released Rainforest Farms from a contract that you clicked on and signed. And so you're bound by it.
I don't know where that was when we placed the order and said, you know, we paid for it. I don't know where that part was.
Do you want him to take you outside? You're still in business, correct?
Correct. Can I just tell?
No, don't tell. I want her to be satisfied, and I don't want to bother to look.
Well,
because I understand that when you place an order for something, it usually says,
I agree
here are
with
the
all
terms and conditions.
Correct.
I agree to accept the terms and conditions before I proceed next, okay? She said she didn't see that.
Well, Your Honor, my husband is the one, he's the one that ordered the fish with Tom. He spoke with Tom beforehand.
Did you place the order on the internet?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to take him out and show him?
Sure.
You want to go look?
I'm not concerned with that part of it.
No, then that's the whole part of it. This is the written contract. It defines what the parameters are.
Your Honor, can I respectfully just say that over the last at least 10 years, he has been sending out sick fish to hundreds of customers?
Listen to me carefully. If that's true, and he says he's been in business for 27 years, what you should have done was investigate that before you placed an order with him, not after. After is too late.
I had no reason to investigate him because it looked like a reputable website. He'd been in business for 27 years.
What do you mean you had no reason? You never dealt with him before.
Well,
what I'm telling you is this is a contract case. This is your contract. Your husband, to see that when he placed the order, he had to, you may click it fast and says, these are terms and conditions of the sale. Some people go, bing. Some people look at it. Do you want to see that this is what you passed over?
No, that's...
Yeah, okay, fine. You're bound by the terms and conditions of this contract. And the terms and conditions of this contract also suggest that you not commingle your fish with any other fish for 10 days. And that's to give them for a chance to acclimate to whatever environment you have, whatever room temperature you have. I mean, I've had tropical fish, but not for a very long time. And the suggestion is not to take them and immediately put them in your tank.
Okay, so...
That was just a second. Okay,
yes.
not so. I'm trying to explain it to you. That's his suggestion to you, which you did not follow, healthy fish. But that's not the parameters of the contract. The parameter of the contract is he's not giving you your money back for anything. He's prepared to replace a fish that died, and if you're not satisfied with the order, he's telling you here, keep the order, and we'll replace the fish. What do you want?
That was fine when I called him about the first initial 4 fish. When we got to 11, he wasn't replacing all fish.
Just a second. Stand up a second.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your contract.
I understand that.
This is your contract.
Yes, ma'am. And it says that he will replace all the fish. If we him, 9 of your fish have died. 8 of my fish have now died.
8 of your fish is not his business.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have the choice. You can replace the fish that they're not happy with the order with 12 new fish, or you can give them $270. What's your pleasure? What is your pleasure? It's your contract.
And later today,
Has Mr. Cosby ever stolen money from you?
Years ago, not recently.
Well, how many years ago?
Maybe like 25 years ago or something.
Well,
like
what
that.
do you think would prompt him? Because his defense is that you're a little crazy.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tracy Vestall says tropical fish distributor Thomas Mador sold her sick fish and contaminated her tank.
Okay, 8 of yours is not his business. The 9 of his that died within how many days?
Within 6 days.
And you put his fish in with your fish.
After I acclimated them.
No, not a court. That's impossible.
That's impossible as well, ma'am. I'm sorry.
You don't have a tank.
What I'm telling you is you have no case. I'm sorry that your fish got
Well,
the
they
fish.
can't stay in bags the way he ships them for 2 weeks.
We're just looking, is he going to replace our fish that he says in his contract he's going to fish? So am I getting my fish replaced?
Just a second. Now that I know, how much did you pay for these 12 fish?
$270.
Okay, so you paid $270. And now I'm going to read this. Number 3 of your contract that you two are bound by says, if you get an order of fish that you do not approve of, we ask that you not bail them back. We will replace them. Right. Are you prepared to replace the 12 fish? Well, that's your contract, sir.
That's the DOA on arrival. That's
No, it's not. That's in a totally separate section.
That has to do with the DOAs.
No, sir. It's not, and it's confusing. And since you constructed this, you're solely responsible for it.
Okay.
Number 1 says if you have a fish that's dead on arrival, we'll replace it, and you have to pay for the shipping.
Okay.
That's talking about a dead fish.
Okay.
Number 3 says if you get an order of fish that you don't like, that's
Is
not,
that what it's...
well, you wouldn't necessarily like dead fish. What if you got an order of 12 dead fish? Clearly, you wouldn't like it.
Right.
Okay? So what I'm telling you is this. You have the choice, pursuant to a contract that you wrote. You can replace the fish that they're not happy with the order with 12 new fish.
Okay.
Or you can give them $270. What's your pleasure? What is your pleasure? It's your contract. It's most heavily construed against the person who...
I offered to replace the fish for killed each other.
Just listen. Do me a favor. Don't give me more than I will replace the 12 fish, or I'll pay him the money, $270, that they paid me for the fish.
Well, then we will pay $270
What?
if that's how you deem my contract.
No.
Which that's not
I
how it's
don't
supposed
deem
to.
your contract. I'm looking here, and it says here that you will replace them with live fish. Number 3, no cash refunds. It says no cash refunds, but now we're in court. Maybe you don't want to deal with these people anymore. So if you don't want to deal with these people anymore by sending them another 12
We'll do a
fish,
cash refund then.
Great, $270. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I will be reorganizing my contract for sure.
I would never take 12 more fish from him, so I'm glad he chose the refund.
If she's happy, I'm happy. I don't want unhappy customers. I do my best to make sure that everyone is happy.
No more online purchase of fish.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Curvin versus Cosby. Step forward.
Rita Curvin is suing her ex-boyfriend, Milton Cosby, for damaging her car and stealing money from her purse.
I'm sort of confused, Miss Curvin. Mr. Cosby is a friend of yours. You have an on and off relationship with him, and he's married.
Yes.
And you were out with him one evening at a bar, and that was on birthday. And according to you, things didn't go well that evening. And without your permission, Mr. Cosby took your car.
That's correct.
And he took your car, and according to you, he damaged the bumper of your car.
Yes.
And also, your pocketbook with some cash in it was in the trunk of the car, and he took the cash out of your pocketbook.
Yes.
How long have you known Mr. Cosby?
All my life.
Has Mr. Cosby ever stolen money from you?
Years ago, not recently. I mean, within...
Well, how many years ago? You're 50. How many years ago?
Maybe like 25 years ago or something
Well,
like
what do you think would prompt him? Because his defense is that you're a little crazy. So I'm trying to find out. So what do you think would prompt him when he took your car without your permission from the bar? What do you think would prompt him to steal money out of your pocketbook?
I don't know. My purse was locked in the trunk of my car. When I got to my car to retrieve my car from his house, my purse was no longer in the trunk of my car. My bill folder was not in my purse, and my credit cards had been messed with too. And my $200 for my insurance car payment money was gone.
So how much cash was in the bill folder?
I had $160 thrown away in a part of my bill folder. I had
that
$200.
was still there. Just a minute. So that was still there.
It was still there. The $350 I had in the front bills off in my purse for the car insurance, that was missing out of my purse.
Did you take her money?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, let's talk about you took her car.
No, I didn't take her car, ma'am.
Well, you used her car to drive it to your house.
Yes, ma'am.
So you took her car. I didn't say you stole it. I said you took her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why you took her car.
When we was at the club, ma'am, I had asked Miss Kirby to take me back to the room or take me home, and which she had purchased a room prior to us going to the club. I asked her, I say, I know my limit when I drink. I say, so I know I reached my limit. I said, could you please take me back to the car or take me to my truck? And she was like, no, I'm not taking you anywhere. It's my birthday. You came out with me. You're going to party. And if you want to go, just go. And so...
So you went and you took her car?
No, she had gave me her keys.
Did you take her car?
Yes, ma'am. I left in her car.
Well, Mr. Cosby, what kind of nutty thing did you just tell me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You just told me that you had been out with her, that you had reached your drinking limit, so that she gave you her car keys and you drove home. Why would you get into her car if you were drunk?
Real case. Rita Kervin says ex-boyfriend Milton Cosby drove her car without permission and damaged it. She also claims Milton stole money from her purse.
Now, did you take her car?
Yes, ma'am. I left in her car.
Well, Mr. Cosby, what kind of nutty thing did you just tell me? You just told me that you had been out with her, that you had reached your drinking limit, and you weren't going to drink anymore. So then she gave you her car keys and you drove home. Why would you get into her car if you were drunk?
Because I didn't have no way, because we had parked my truck.
Can I see pictures of your car, please?
We had left my truck parked not at the club.
The most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I just want to see pictures of the car, and I want to see a police report, because the police
There's no police report.
Well, the police responded to his house.
Yes, I
because
had to
you
call
went there
his
the
house.
following morning to make a little bit of a scene, and the police were called. Who called the police?
I called the police because that's where he had my car at.
Now, when you called the police and you got your car, did they make a report, or you just didn't get the report?
No, the police that came to his house, they didn't make a report, but they had to make him give me my car keys. Then he took my car and slightly backed into my son's 2015 Dodge Charger with my car.
Who did that?
Mr. Cosby. In between the time that he had my keys in his hand. I went to grab my keys from the club. He snatched them back. Then he tried to get the liquor bottle that was on the table, but I managed to keep him from getting that. Then he left. I thought he was going outside to cool down. He didn't drive my car to the club, so why would I let him drive my car from the club? And when we went in there, the reason he got my keys...
Listen to me. There's no question he should not have been behind the wheel of your car. Period. And if what you're telling me is there was damage between the time you took the car and the time you retrieved the car, that's what I'm concerned.
Okay,
I don't want to hear the
damaged.
whole story. Tell somebody else that part of the story. And now I'd like to see the bill for repair of your car.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
What?
If I would have took her car without her permission...
You took it with permission?
Yes, ma'am. So,
just as she gave you the keys?
But what
so what? She can't give you permission to kill somebody, can she?
No.
Because that's illegal.
Exactly.
It's also illegal to drive a car drunk.
And that's right. And
Just
that's why I was trying to get her to take me to the house.
But listen, it's the same thing in a different level, Mr. Cosby, than my saying to you, I want you to kill Bird. And you say, I can't do that. You know, that's a crime. And I say, you know what? But he really annoyed me about 6 months annoying. So I'm going to give you a good reason. So now you can kill him. Do you understand?
Yes,
she
ma'am.
can't give you permission to drive drunk.
Yes.
I don't care what the excuse is. I don't care if you have to sleep at the club. You're not supposed to get behind the wheel of a car when you're drunk.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, you're not supposed to get behind the wheel of a car when you're drunk.
And the thing,
which is
the
what you
damage that
told
was
me.
to the car was already there, ma'am.
That's what I got a witness for.
Your witness ain't seen me do the
What kind of car is this?
It's a 2001 Lincoln Town car.
Could you look up the value of a 2001 Lincoln Town car, please? Fair condition.
It was in good condition. That car
Fair
didn't have
condition.
a scratch or anything on it.
$2,775.
You saw him driving the car drunk, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I figured. That's what it says here. Good. $575. That's the part, the bumper. Put it on for $100. We're not giving you $2,000 to fix a
In the
$2,000
trunk
car.
is
We're
the picture
done.
on the...
We are done. Over. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the...
I give him permission to leave in my car.
I don't owe her anything because she's a pathological liar.
He wanted to drink because he was drunk and took my drink out of my hand, and I didn't want to go out on the dance floor.
I asked her to take me home, and she got upset because I didn't want to go to the room with her.
The party is over.
It's over. It's a done deal.
Our relationship together is unhealthy for our child. We cannot be in the same household.
Combative young parents part ways.
He lied to me saying he wasn't working, so he wouldn't have to give me money.
She left, and then they entered into a custody battle.
He did nothing for his kid. He did nothing for me.
But Dad says he fought to stay together.
I unload trucks, I paint houses, I pour concrete.
You do everything except pay child support.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Linda Brotherton is suing Destiny Roseberry for unpaid rent for an apartment in her name.
Order. All rise. It's case number 417 on the calendar in the matter of Brotherton versus Roseberry.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be...
Is the former girlfriend of your nephew. I must assume this is the nephew.
Yes.
Is that your sister's child or your brother's child?
Actually, cousin.
Okay, so he's not a nephew, he's a cousin. How is he a cousin?
I think he's the third cousin.
So it's not a relationship that's actually...
But we're closer than that. We are
Fine.
a family.
I just like to keep things straight. So he's not a nephew. He's not related to you by blood. He is at best a third cousin, a cousin of a cousin of a cousin.
Yes.
But you're a close group.
Yes.
Great, I got it. I just wanted to see whether this was accurate.
Yes.
This is my nephew's ex-girlfriend.
His mother and I are best friends. I've known their family since I
don't
was
care.
forever.
I like to know
what the relationship
is, especially when you swear that he's your nephew. Now he's your best friend's son, so almost like a nephew to you. Okay. Well, whatever he is, he didn't have enough money to rent an apartment with his girlfriend, who either had or was having a baby. When did that take place?
I had Xander June 30th of 2015.
And when did you move into an apartment with the cousin, friends, whatever?
January 25th of 2016.
While you were pregnant, you lived at home?
Yes.
And about 6 months after you had the baby, you decided neither of you had enough money to qualify for a lease on an apartment, so you co-signed for them.
I did.
And then it sort of didn't work out, and you moved out in November of 2016.
Yes.
And you moved back home.
Yes.
And you want, since her half of the rent, the idea was they were supposed to split the rent.
Yes.
The idea is you want her half of the rent for those 2 months.
November, December, and the prorated part of January, because she never did leave the apartment.
Well, she left the apartment. She may have left some stuff there, but she left the apartment according to you. According to you, you said she left stuff there. She left, and then they entered into a custody battle.
She has things there. She did not leave the apartment. She comes and goes, still.
Well, that's not what you actually say in your complaint. What you say in your complaint is, in November of 2016, Destiny and Zach broke up, which started a custody battle. Destiny left her belongings at the apartment but refused to pay the rent.
She broke up with them. She declared that she was not going to pay any more rent in the middle of November and that she was moving back to her mother's. But that didn't happen exactly that way. She came and went, and it wasn't until beginning of January.
Do you live with them?
No, I do not.
So that you don't know any of this from your first, maybe girlfriend's son, Zach. You don't know any of this from your first-hand knowledge.
I do know.
Just a second. Were you in the apartment when she came back?
No.
Then you don't know any of it from your first-hand knowledge. You do. Stand up. You're Zach.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In January of 2016, where were you working?
Degree, that is a landscaping company, miss.
In January?
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
I worked there for about 6 months.
So you worked there from January until June?
No, when we first got this apartment, miss, I detailed cars. From then, which was like midway through the lease,
just a minute. I'll talk to him. In January, you detailed cars for whom?
For Shine and Ride on East Galbraith in Reading, Ohio.
Were you paid by the hour, by the
Yes,
week?
ma'am.
By the hour. You were paid in check,
Yes, ma'am.
which you deposited.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was the check that you deposited each week?
Maybe 400 up.
And what was the rent on the apartment?
$615.
And where were you working, Miss Roseberry?
I was bartending at a nightclub. New York Cabaret.
And that's when you moved in?
Yes.
Okay. And your arrangement was you were supposed to split the expenses?
Yes.
Okay. Did you continue June?
Yes, ma'am.
And after June?
I hooked up with one of my buddies and started landscaping.
You mean you hooked up with one of your buddies and started your own company? Or...
No. He works with a previous company that he got me in through.
And that was in June?
Yeah.
So you were detailing cars up until June, and then you started to work for landscaping company.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still working there?
I am. I'm unemployed. I do shop hours, miss.
What does that mean?
That means, like, I don't get a check weekly, but I can still come there and do shop hours throughout the week and be paid under the table.
So how many hours a day do you get paid for under the table?
To be honest, Your Honor, because I'm laid off through them right now, I haven't been calling back and getting
laid off?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you laid off?
The beginning of January is when I was laid off.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were still working for them full-time. Very easy to figure out with a phone call. You were still working for them full-time in November and December.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were still able to pay your half of the rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, Miss Roseberry, I'm looking at your answer. It said after we moved in, I paid for everything since he didn't have a job. So that's not true.
He lied to me several times saying he wasn't working, so he wouldn't have to give me money. I paid for his half.
Tell me about that.
I would ask him for the rent, and he said he would be 100 short every time. So I was picking up his slack the whole time we lived there.
Got to be better with numbers.
He was about 200 short every 2 months.
So this is inaccurate, what you wrote here. He didn't have a job, and I was taking care of him and the child, and this put stress on our relationship.
Yes, even though he was working, I was still paying for everything.
No, you weren't. If he was short, that's not paying for everything.
I was working 2 jobs. I was at a nursing home also. I took care of Xander. I would find babysitters. He did nothing for his kid. He did nothing for me.
Miss Roseberry, let me tell you something. How old are you?
21.
And how old are you?
I am 23, Your Honor.
Okay. Too young and too stupid to make a baby, and then you think, Miss Roseberry, that life is going to give you a 50-50 proposition? It's not going to give you a 50-50 proposition. Get that out of your head, or you will be constantly disappointed. Take that from an older person, very older person, who knows that once you set a parameter, I was doing this, and I was making appointments, and I was taking care of the baby, and I was getting up with him in the middle of the night. Yeah, he was working, but he didn't take care of me, and he didn't do his half share with the baby, and I was working 2 jobs, and I was doing so much more, and it was so much better at my mother's house, where she took care of the baby, and she took care of the laundry, and I may go out to work, but at least I had some help.
Yes.
In the house. Well, then you don't have a baby when you're 19 and he's 21 because that's stupid. All right. You want your money back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you want the money back for November. Did you pay half your rent in November?
No, I did not, because I moved out the end of November because he was being violent towards me.
Okay, so you moved out in November, so you owe your half of November's rent. How much was half of your rent in November? How much was the full rent?
$615.
So you owe $307 for the month of November. Now, are you still in the apartment?
I'm not.
Okay, when did you move out?
Like right before we come and took this trip, Your Honor.
Okay, so you stayed there through January.
Yeah.
And you're working under the table now.
Yeah.
So that you're not paying any taxes. And you set your own hours?
I just do odd jobs, Your Honor.
What does that mean, odd jobs?
Like orders for Menards. I unload trucks. I paint houses. I pour concrete.
You do everything except pay child support. Just a second. You do everything except pay child support. From what I gather, listen, I don't want to hear from you. I'm going to dismiss your case, period. Do you understand? Because I think the whole case is sort of a little ridiculous. But who paid the rent in the apartment for the month of December and January? You can only say the wrong thing.
I was just going to wait for you to let me speak. That's all. In December, I gave my aunt $300. There's my half.
So in December, you gave your aunt $300.
Correct.
And you were working, according to you, in December in full. You didn't start, according to you, it wasn't until January where you got laid off and you started to get paid under the table. That was according to what you told me a minute ago. Okay. And she had left in November. Is that right?
As she says, Your Honor.
Just a second. Is that correct, that she left in November?
To be honest, no, that's not correct.
Well, then tell me about her not leaving in November.
She claims she'll leave, Your Honor. She'll be gone for 2 days, then she'll be beating on my door at midnight when she gets home from her job, arriving with my son. That's another thing. Anytime she would work, as she says, and come to our home that she claims she no longer lives at, it would be late, crazy beyond hours, 3, 4 in the morning. She'd have my son with her, knocking at the door. And then if she said, like she said, she'd moved out, it'd be for a week grace period, and then she'd be at my doorstep the next week knocking on the door. I need my stuff. I live here, too. My name's on the lease, but she's not helping with any other bills. I don't understand that.
Save it for the family court. What I want to know is, she's now living with her mother, and you're working in the month of December. What kind of contribution, if any, because I'm not crazy about her either, what kind of contribution did you make towards your son's support in December? Nothing.
It's something.
Well, tell me what it was.
Since my son has been delivered from this woman, I've been there from day one. He's lived in our house. I've taken care of him. I've watched him while she's went to work. I've bought diapers, things that fathers are supposed to do.
This isn't family court, Zach.
I understand that.
I asked you the month of December. She had moved out. You were working full-time. You paid your aunt half the money, $300 a month. You told me that you were working and making about $400 a week, because you wouldn't have left a job where you were making $400 a week to make less, to start a new venture with your friend. So that I have to assume you were at least making $1,600, $1,700 a month. So what did you do with the other money?
I don't understand where you come up with that sum of money, miss.
Well, I'm going to tell you. You want to know where? I'm going to tell you where.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You didn't work for a car wash, then you worked for a landscaper.
If we're talking about then, what are you talking about when I detail cars?
I don't want to speak to you anymore.
That's fine.
I'm going to tell you something, Zach. You better get your story together straight.
And later today.
You think you have a bad temper?
No, I don't.
If I asked your wife, would she say that you had a bad temper?
No.
Does he yell at you?
Not at me, no.
Not at you. At whom?
Judge Judy.
Linda Brotherton says Destiny Roseberry owes for rent for an apartment in her name.
I asked you where you were working between January and June. You said I was detailing cars. I said, how much would you make a week? You told me $400 a week. So that's about $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 a month. Then you told me that you went to work with a buddy of yours who had a landscaping job. So no normal person with a brain would leave a job where they were making $1,800 a month to go to a job where they were making less than $1,800 a month for a job. So therefore, that's where I get it from. And I'm going to repeat my question. You gave your aunt, cousin, friend $300 towards the rent. What did you do with the rest of the money?
Your Honor, each one of those checks weren't always at that. That's what I'm saying. I worked for a car wash.
You didn't work for a car wash, then you worked for a landscaper.
If we're talking about then, what are you talking about when I detail cars?
I don't want to speak to you
That's
anymore.
fine.
I'm going to tell you something, Zach. You better get your story together straight before you had a hearing in the family court? No.
I've been to court one time. And it was
Just a
that
second.
woman for
Have you
child
had
support.
a hearing about custody or visitation or anything else?
Yeah, that's already squared away. I have joint custody of my son, Your Honor.
Okay. Tell me about you and how many days a week is he with his father?
He is supposed to be with Zach 3 days a week and every other weekend.
Was that after a hearing or
It was an agreement. In mediation, I didn't want to keep Xander from
Don't tell me otherwise. I'm not interested in the why. So he has him 3 days a week and every other weekend. You have 4 days a week and every other weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's going to be a support agreement. Well, just 1 day she has, 1 day more. That's your problem. Anyway, when you moved out in November, did you have a discussion with Zach beforehand about moving out?
Yes.
Tell me when that took place and what was the discussion?
It was the end of November, around 28th or 29th. We discussed that he would get a roommate because he has multiple friends that would love to take my place, as he states.
Was this during an argument or was it during a rational...
It was a mutual agreement that...
No, not a mutual agreement. I didn't say that. I said, was it during an argument or was it during a, I'm going back to my mom's?
It was, our relationship together is unhealthy for our child. We cannot be in the same household.
Did it become volatile?
Yes.
Okay, and you both understood that. Did you understand that?
Yeah.
So the discussion was that you would move back to your mother's and he was going to have one of his friends move in.
Yes.
Stand up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
You knew he was going to go off and make a fool out of him.
Okay, I don't know what...
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Linda Brotherton says Destiny Roseberry owes for rent for an apartment in her name.
Did you ever have that discussion with her?
I don't... No, ma'am.
Were you going to say, I don't remember?
I was going to say I don't recall.
You don't recall. That's better. Did you, in fact, stay in the apartment December and January?
I did.
Okay. Sit down. Thank you. Very good. Get your rent from him. Your case is dismissed. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
With the defendant, I really wish she would have just held up to her half, been an adult, and paid her half.
He was very mentally abusive and violent.
While I was busy paying my half, missing her half that we needed.
And I hope, you know, it all gets better.
To pay those bills. Then I had to ask my aunt herself to help me with that.
When I realized my self-worth.
And if her name was on the lease, she should also been able to do the same thing.
It's better to be independent.
I'm gonna let it go. You ready, Lynn? I'm good. I don't want to talk anymore.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Blanchett versus O'Shea. Step forward.
Gabriel Blanchett is suing his ex-landlord, Thomas O'Shea, for the return of rent, moving costs, and...
From the defendant, who I understood, this is your wife? Mm-hmm. Lives with his wife. You rented the room when, sir?
On May 28th of last year.
And when did you move out?
I moved out on October 18th.
And you want your prorated rent for that month?
Correct.
Now, Mr. O'Shea, I gather that your tenancy with Mr. Blanchett did not go as swimmingly well as you thought.
No, it didn't.
Had you ever had a tenant before?
Yes.
How many times?
Several.
That go okay?
You know.
Sometimes yes, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
Do you have a temper? Look, do you think you have a bad temper?
No, I don't.
If I asked your wife, would she say that you had a bad temper?
No.
Does he have a bad temper?
I don't believe so.
Does he yell at you?
Not at me, no.
Not at you. At whom?
At the plaintiff here.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fair to say that you were not unhappy when he left.
Well, I wasn't happy when he decided to come to me.
O'Shea, pay careful attention to what I just said.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and...
When he left.
Correct.
And the police had been called several times to your house.
Twice, yes.
With regard to him.
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you another question. Other than the police responding to the house with complaints regarding Mr. Blanchett, how many times did the police come to your house otherwise?
I don't think any.
What do you mean, I don't think any?
Okay, let me be more precise. Not any.
So that would mean that he was a real problem, since you've had other tenants and no problems.
No, he wasn't a real problem. No, he wasn't actually a problem at all. He decided to call the cops on his own behalf for a reason I don't know.
If he wasn't a problem, would you explain to me why you gave him a 30-day notice?
Because he decided to come at me with his problems again when I didn't care about his money problems, and I told him to keep it to himself. So we got into a heated argument. Okay. We get into a heated argument.
Keep going, I'm loving it.
So we get into a heated argument.
You knew he was going to go off and make a fool out of himself, right?
We're going on a tangent.
We're going?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know
Right. Right.
We get into a heated argument, so he calls
How much was your monthly rent?
I originally paid $550, and the last month I was there, it went to $600.
Moved out on the 18th?
Right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. We're done. Thank you.
Continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He never paid the checks to me. He paid the checks to the actual owner of the house.
He places the ad, he interviews the people, he decides who's going to live there.
So I never saw his money.
He decides how much to charge. He's the de facto landlord.
So how could I be paying for something when I never saw the money?
He came at me with a fist, like he was getting ready to hit me, throw a punch.
Oh, he wants to cry wolf to the cops when they can't help him either.
And I don't want to get in any trouble, so I just called 911.
Oh, yeah, and they did nothing.
Little more careful screening process.
Nah, man, you know, life throws you curveballs.
Yeah.
What can you say?